up, guys? First road trip with the Panda Crew all the way up to, where are we? What suburb is this?
Yeah, it's over the shore. We know that. We're Southsiders here.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Episode 19 with Mr. Nathan Cavaleri. Thanks
one
for
and
having
only.
us,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Mate, this is a first. I like it.
Yeah, thanks for letting us
Mixing it up.
use and abuse your studio
Yeah,
here. It's a
totally.
fantastic studio.
Yeah, when you said you brought a table, you really did.
I actually bought it from
Yeah,
Bunnings today.
Yes.
It still has some sausage residue on it. So.
Yeah. No onions, though, because they don't do the onions anymore, I think.
Oh, why not?
People falling over. It's dangerous, man. Fried onions.
You got to watch them.
Yeah, you do got to watch them.
This is our first time on Twitch, actually.
Yeah.
Welcome.
We're excited.
This is lots of firsts happening because this is the first time I've done anything like this on Twitch. So
wow.
that's generally me
What-
just engaging with chat and performing and stuff. So it's good.
Yeah, well, we heard you've got a gig coming up from down our way on Sunday at the Heritage. Anyone from Twitch or any of our people that don't know the Heritage, it's a beautiful venue. You know, like it's.
Yeah.
Have you played there before?
I have once with my old band Nat Cole and the Kings, which was.
I didn't know that was you.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. With Cole Hatchman, the Screaming Jets drummer, and Kenny, my guitar player, who plays with me at the moment. He was the bass player.
Yeah.
And killer. That was pretty. I think it was probably one of the last few gigs that we did as Nat Cole and the Kings.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah.
He's some drummer.
Oh
Now-
there's big hi hats.
I was going
hi hats.
What's up with that? It looks great. What's the idea behind the hi hat?
I don't know whether it was about a musical thing or an aesthetic thing. I know he's a drummer with a bit of a show. He should be up the front of the stage, really.
Yeah.
Did he get you into lifting weights during that time? Because you were
He was pretty ripped. No,
you were packed. You looked a bit.
Yeah.
Like
No,
you'd been lifting a
he
little bit?
wasn't. He was one of those assholes that just looked ripped all the time. He never lifted a weight or anything. He was kind of a big body weight guy, but most of his rippedness was just eating well and bit of
playing
genetics
like
and
that.
just playing like a
Oh,
demon
man,
all
he
the
just
time.
didn't stop.
I remember he used to wear like these, cuffs and wrist chains and stuff like that, and then he got nipple rings, and he's slamming away, and on the up, his wrist chain caught his nipple. And boom,
Out it comes. Man, I had that happen to me. It was like, I'm not playing drums, but Faith No More concert there, Angel Dust Tour, which was, anyone that saw it was like, they rocked.
Yeah.
And I woke up and yes, my nipple rings were gone.
Oh,
yeah, man, my shirt was covered in blood. It was a big shame.
I always wanted to see them, and I ended up seeing them for the first time at Soundwave.
Oh, when was that?
That was like in 2000 and maybe 11 or 12.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was a 40-degree day out there. They ran out of water at Eastern Creek at 1 p.m.
Oh,
And
no.
so all they had to drink was JD and Coke. And so you can imagine the state of the crowd by the time Faith No More came on. But it was like I was 14 again.
Yeah,
like I forgot. You know when you're watching a band and it's so good that you forget that you're a musician because you're not following it with your mind. You're not watching, like, you're just lost in it. And that's kind of how I felt
That's a good show. Yeah.
with Faith No More. Yeah.
They're amazing. I think that band. But yeah, it's funny as a musician, I play a bit in that as well. Now when I see people on stage, generally I just want to be up on stage, so it takes a pretty good show to. Actually, one of the best shows I've ever seen, if I had to say my favourite show, was the Commonwealth Games in Melbourne. They had a show on beforehand. It was at the Maya Bowl down there, and it was Jimmy Cliff.
Yeah, right.
And I didn't expect much because it was a free show.
Yeah.
And I thought he's just going to come out and do a little thing, and he's already being paid.
Yeah.
Oh, and it was just after the Iraq War had kind of happened, and I'd never experienced music and politics. I'd seen Rage Against the Machine, but I'd never seen it in such a way. And he's got the song called Vietnam, which was a Vietnam protest song. A friend of his got killed over there, and he revamped it for the war in Iraq. He's a peace-loving dude and stuff. But then he built the crowd up, and it felt like a wave when he said, "We don't want your war, Mr. Howard. We don't want another Vietnam." And like it was an explosion of energy from that stage, man. The crowd went
Yeah, yeah.
berserk.
Crazy.
He could have got us to riot.
Yeah.
Like we were in the palm of his hands. It was scary.
Yeah, you can understand how those gigs get out of control. Hey.
Oh yeah. Well, they wanted it
Yeah.
shut down at 11 or something like that, and it was they couldn't. They had to keep it going because the crowd. We were pretty rowdy after that.
That's the beauty in it, right? It's just
Yeah.
how much it brings people together and
Oh yeah.
music, man. It's such a draw.
Well, that's why I think good music like your music and that's so important, and we don't hear a lot of it on commercial radio. It's
Yeah.
almost it's too powerful a thing. It's like certain people want to control it, and sell you. I'm not sure, like Rage Against the Machine aren't going to get normal airplay.
No.
So
Yeah, that
Yeah.
reminds me of that that old argument between Jason from Frenzel and Jackie O and Kyle. Did you ever listen
No,
to that
no.
when they? Yeah. Oh, well, I was hoping you'd all say, "Yeah, I remember that." So I'm not going to try and explain it. I just look it up.
yeah.
No, it was, but yeah, I think they threatened. They said, well, Frenzel Rom, never going to get played on Oz Stereo again. And Jace is like what? As if you guys have ever played Frenzel Rom anyway. Like,
Yeah. Back to the Heritage. It's a
Yeah.
great room, isn't it? It's absolutely stunning.
looking forward to playing it. It's we've since COVID hit it didn't really change too much for my gigs. I kind of relaunched doing a bit more of a storytelling intimate show anyway where people were sitting down. So people are sitting down now, but I think that just that extra little bit of disconnect because of the space and stuff. But
how do you find that?
well, the flip side, it means, the odd gig, if you don't sell well, it's not embarrassing because you just go, oh, COVID. Restrictions, sorry.
Got me again.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's a different buzz, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I am finding that people are a little more passionate about seeing music because it's not, I think people have just been bunkered down for so long that they're really wanting to get out. They're really wanting to forget, and just be taken away by something.
And also maybe they took music for granted. I know I did, I can guarantee it if someone offers for me to go to a show, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
From now on, I'm
Yeah.
never going to say no again.
Yeah.
I'll be going to everything that's out there.
Well, a lot of my musician friends are just going, we've never sold tickets like this before, which is
that's
really, really
brilliant.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a good thing. Everyone's kind of, it's not a good thing right now, but everyone's getting over listening to streaming stuff. They want to experience stuff.
Oh, did
for
you
real
hear that,
again.
Twitch? He's bagging you guys out.
Definitely not.
No, well, no, I think, there's been many silver linings, I reckon, that I've seen over the last year. Like, it gets you, when you're dealing with that crap, it gets you clear on what's important. But it's also forced the music industry to have to step up and learn how to connect in other ways. I feel like it's given the music industry a good wake up as well, and things like platforms like Twitch and how you use your social media, even just for me, the breaking it down to the principles of like the fundamentals of what are you trying to do? When you release, what is the goal? The goal here is to connect, right? And when you have that fundamental goal, then it's like, all right, how do you do it?
Yeah.
There's lots of different ways to do it.
Well, the tools are there now, whereas maybe in the 90s, when you first started and stuff, everything was through a company, wasn't it? Like you couldn't just jump on Twitch. Those tools
Honestly,
weren't there.
I have that debate with a lot of purists that are like, Spotify ripping us off and all that. And I can see it. I don't agree that they're ripping us off, but I can see why it's hard for some artists,
especially older artists. Do you find that? Like,
I've
got a friend who hates it, man, and he's in his 60s now, and he grew up in London in the 70s.
I was my first two records were I just missed vinyl, but I was on tape and CDs. If I wanted to be heard in Germany, I had to be signed to a label or have distribution that would then put it out into the stores, right? if you didn't sell a certain amount within a certain time, you're off the shelves.
You're gone.
The people in Germany will no longer be able to hear you, and they won't know about you. But now you play a small fee, and you're on the platform worldwide,
Yep.
and people around the world can access your music,
Absolutely.
and it stays there. And that's why all these artists are also getting, second waves and third waves and fourth waves, peaks after they've released, because they get rediscovered by an algorithm or whatever it is, a community. And so I'm really all for it. You have to, you have no choice. You got to embrace change.
And especially as artists, that we're supposed to be at the forefront of change, and we had this discussion with Anthony Snape last week about recorded music wasn't around for that long anyway. It's only been 100 years. Before then, musicians had to go out and perform live, and then it's just gone back there. But now you can reach an audience a bit easier. So I can understand the pain that the older artists feel, but you just got to roll with it. This is the way it is. And then I remember when we did our album last year, I was a bit I never really liked music videos and all that, and I thought, oh no, they're a bit naff, Like I'm a musician, I'm an artist, blah, blah. And then and then my daughter, she was 15. She goes, oh, you should watch some music videos. And I'm like, nah, they're all really bad. And then she goes, oh, just watch this, and she put on This Is America. Have you watched that music video? Oh, it's Childish Gambino.
Oh yeah,
and it's got to be the greatest music video I've ever seen.
Yeah, because they're getting like decent cinematographers. Are getting
and the storyline behind
it,
it's wild, And my jaw just dropped. Like you can actually do stuff, these are all artistic media, Twitch or whatever you do. You can always do something interesting with it. So don't see it as a negative.
It's probably the most challenging for the artists who just wanted to play guitar and sing.
Yeah.
Like instead, and I mean, I struggle with this at certain times of just having to wear so many fucking hats. Like, can you swear on this podcast?
Oh, sure.
We're being
worried about Twitch.
I saw the beer and I thought, well, but just how many hats you've got to wear.
Yeah.
And
you're self-managed as well, aren't you?
Yeah. So. I mean, I've got a nice really lean team around me that is expanding. And it's having to expand just because I'm only one person. And but if you don't like the social media aspect and you don't, and you just want to follow just a certain protocol, it's hard, And if you're an introvert, like I think by nature I'm an introvert, and I've just learned how to be a little bit more extrovert. But those who just literally want to be in a corner and play and do their thing, I mean, I think Kurt Cobain would hate it now. I reckon. Yeah. So that's tough. That can be tough. But hopefully you have members of the team that balance that out and do it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We were discussing about say Kurt Cobain and Led Zeppelin bands. Do you think they'll ever exist again, or is the media spread so far and wide that now it's like we have our own little tribes, like you got your Twitch tribe, or we've got our Smack Panda tribe and things like that, and but an all-encompassing band. So maybe U2 was the last really big band. Do you think? Do you think to get huge you need the backing of a Sony or something like that? Or do you even
that's a good
want
question.
that?
When I look at Sticky Fingers and independent, and
that's true.
They've played whatever, what is that, ANZ Stadium or whatever. But I mean, it's hard. I think there's still lots of different ways you can do things. Like, I mean, I forget what his name was, but he was a YouTube musician, and just over the course of 4 to 5 years built an audience through just playing on YouTube, daily, and built, and then when he dropped a single, it was in the top 10 during Christmas time. And compete solidly against major label artists. So I think there's lots of different ways that you can do things now. And as far as like, I don't know, Nirvana and U2, whether those bands, I think so. It'll just be a different form. Like, and I want to say that no, it'll never be like that again. But my parents' generation was saying the same things. There will never be another Rolling Stones again, and everything. And then Nirvana came, and but you won't be singing that song. It Smells Like Teen Spirit. 20 years.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, we are.
That's right. It was, and I'm really stoked. Like last year, I found a couple of artists that I loved. One was a Kiwi artist, Aldous Harding, you know, I don't know if you've heard her stuff, but it's just,
Yeah.
as a songwriter, it's just incredibly intimidating. I'm like, man, this woman has it.
Yeah.
You know, and she's slow. I think she was on one of the American Tonight shows, but the talent isn't lacking. You know, there's so much talent out there.
And the discoverability, like to, you know, to have a playlist, and then you've got a platform that kind of gets to know what you like and then makes other suggestions. I'm you know, finding artists that I'm like, who are you? Like, where did you come from? I'm, you know, some random band from Canada, and that I'm in love with.
That are great.
You know? And when they come to Australia, I'll buy a ticket. You know,
you can bring them to Australia. That's what I found this band over in England, Church of the Cosmic Skull, and they got the whole shtick going on. They've started this church. They all wear white, and it's just great 70s rock music.
Yeah.
And as soon as COVID's over, I'm just going to bring them over. I don't care. I'll make it happen.
It is. You can go down the rabbit hole. Like, I don't know. I'm not musically inclined like you guys, but I know because of Spotify and stuff, you find one song that you like, and then you delve into the whole artist like catalog, and then you can from there you go on to other artists.
It links you to,
and especially the old stuff like that I would have never found before because we don't have records and CDs.
You used to go to and just hope that the person at Utopia Records or HMV understood their music, and you could go, hey. And I remember having that conversation is, you know, I heard a song by Coolio, Fantastic Voyage. You know, what other, you know, artists are there out there like that? And you had to rely on their minds. So,
well, I think that's maybe what the YouTubers and the Twitchers are for as well. They're almost like a DJ. So you find someone you like, and then you respect their taste in music, and they can point you in the right directions as well. You know, or podcasts and things
you guys
like
wouldn't be doing this 10, 15 years ago.
No way.
Yeah.
Well,
I wish. Would be huge.
Be the only.
We're the biggest podcast in Wollongong for sure. Well, this started off originally it started off as a documentary. Mark had a fight coming up. Was it pre-COVID?
Just before,
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and we got ScoMo, or Scott from marketing, got us a tax back, or I got my super out and bought a camera. Well, that one over there, and we were doing a doco on Mark, and then and that didn't work out. We'd gotten used to being on camera and talking. It was a really nice thing for a bunch of guys to get together once a week and just talk. And like, why don't we just film it and put it out there? You know,
that's literally what I want to a dimension that I want to add to my stream on Twitch is we have lots of these cool conversations when we're on the road. And when we rock up to, you know, I mean, we just played Adelaide Fringe Festival, and then on the way in, I ended up running into a friend of mine, Dusty Lee Stevens, who plays with a band called The Wanderers, and they're so talented. He's absolutely amazing. I mean, literally the conversation that we had for an hour would have been great to have out there, and so that's what I'm working towards. It's also the resources to be able to do that. Like when I tried to do it myself and not have somebody else capturing it, it's a pain in the ass. It's just like you've already had the conversation. Damn, we should have streamed that. Damn,
we've done that.
Let's try and do it again. So anyway, what were we saying back there?
It doesn't work.
We actually did that about 3 shows ago. So
we forgot to press the red button. Press the button. Well, I find from a mental health point of view, as a guy, it's just really nice to sit around and talk.
Schedule time to get together with people and actually have a chat.
Especially when you got kids and stuff. Like it's.
Well, I from a mental health point of view, I wondered, like, you know, because the culture has changed a little bit in what a man does, you know, after work and stuff like that. Is how much, now setting aside the alcohol, how much therapy was in going to the pub after work and hanging with your mates, right? Which is now can be frowned upon.
It is,
and then you don't. What do you do then?
It's kind of gone, isn't it? You know, unless you're into sports and that, which I never was. Start a band, but something about drummers, they just never turn up. You know? So, I think you're absolutely right. I actually used to work at the Heritage years and years ago, and I was talking to my mate John, the barman, and he said, "Man, I'm like a psychologist here. These guys are coming in, and they're a mess. And they're sitting there, they're drinking 8 pints and that, and they're basically crying at the end of the table. They should be going home talking to their wife, And it was really just trying to keep them safe.
A lot of guys
together.
drink themselves back to work too.
Yeah, yeah.
They'd be there all night and
Yeah,
then just
yeah.
rock up back to work. Time to start again.
Yeah. And they don't think there's a problem. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Dude, there's a problem here. You're doing this for a reason. You know?
I think that's what's lost though, is that like, or it's what has been lost, is that male interaction these days, and you know, whether it's at the pub or the old school barber shops or
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been to one of those
and
it
stuff
sucks.
like, you know.
Yeah.
you
Well,
need
COVID
that.
cleaned up the gyms for a while.
Yeah, but
Couldn't even. get
But
on
also
a plane
gyms,
for a while.
everyone's busy gymming, aren't
well,
they?
it's very not the old school like
Oh,
the
yeah,
boxing
yeah.
gyms. And,
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's the same as the barber shops. Like, you go to the new ones, you're not gonna have the same conversations that you had in the old ones. You know, barbers and
No, you're in, you're out,
butchers
man.
and bloody, or you know, publicans. They would know everything about everyone that goes in there. So it is something that has lacked, and this has definitely been a good way to get it back.
Everyone should have a
Different
podcast.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Start one now. Just keep watching.
So what got you onto Twitch?
What got me onto Twitch was I was doing a tour, and I planned it so that my own headliner gigs were compatible with an annual fundraising event that Starlight was putting on around
awesome.
the capital
Yep.
cities, a lot of the capital cities anyway. And so that at the Starlight, it was like a 5-chef dinner, and it was their main fundraising event. And I'd get up and do a bit of a talk about my experience and play a couple of songs. So in Adelaide, actually, I was sitting at this table. I didn't know who was there, and I turned to the guy next to me, and he introduces himself as Pestily, Paul. His real name is Paul, and his stream name is Pestily. And I said, "Oh, so what do you do?" And he said, "Oh, I used to be in the army, but now I'm a gamer." And and I'd heard of sort of people who are full-time gamers and getting revenue from gaming through my brother, because he's a lawyer at EA Games.
Okay.
And I went, I'm so fascinated by that stuff. And this was just at a time that I was wanting to work my YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
And so we just hit it off, and he was telling me about Twitch, and because I asked him what platform, and he said Twitch, and he's like, "Mate, it would just fit perfectly with you." And the amount of times I'd heard somebody say, "Oh, you should be on TikTok, you should be on this."
Yeah,
I'm like, I
Snapchat.
don't want another. And we caught up when I was in Adelaide, and he said, "I remember what you said. I don't want another platform to have to deal with." And it's true. I was like, I don't want it. Like, I'm on Facebook, I've got Instagram, I was blogging at the time, now I'm YouTube, and now I'm gonna fucking do this other platform, Twitch, and then he really explained it to me, and I thought, you know what, this might be a little more suitable than anything else, right? And there must have been about 8 months that went past, and he said to me, I'm doing a stream to raise money for the Starlight Foundation. This guy, in under a year, so in 8 months, he raised within his community online $2 million for the Starlight Foundation. Absolute champion.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he wanted me on for one of the streams that he was doing to sort of do the same thing that I did at the Starlight function.
Yeah.
And I was on there, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm going on somebody's stream, and I didn't understand what it was, and I looked down at the numbers, and I was playing and talking to 125,000 live viewers.
Wow.
And that's a stadium.
Yeah.
And
did it change your attitude to the camera then? Did you freak out?
Yeah, a little bit, because it's also was one of those things like, there are people there, but they're not. Like, I
You're
can't
in a
see
room by
them,
yourself.
so
Yeah, it's really
it's weird. And I had started I decided a couple of days before it, well, if there's ever a time for me to start on Twitch, I might give it a go. So I started up my profile, and then I've been on there ever since. And it's honestly been one of the greatest additions to my week for a number of reasons. I love the community that's on there.
Yep.
They just really get behind you. They're passionate about what you do, the way that everyone sort of collaborates amongst the streamers, the cross-promotional functions, the ability for your diehard fans to financially support what you do, which I'm blown away that function is not on any other platform.
Like, sure.
I mean, other than Patreon. But the, and even from a psychological point of view, I am performing and talking twice a week for 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
And for each stream. So when it came time for me to gig up on stage, I felt well oiled.
Yeah, you're already there.
Like normally I'd have this massive down, this down sort of season where I'm not gigging, and then I've lost my nerve a little bit, and then that first gig kind of sucks, and so does the second one, and but it hasn't felt like that since being on Twitch. So
what do you do to warm up backstage before you gig?
I used to panic. No.
Used to stress you out?
Not in the early days. Like when I'm.
You've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, I've always had to deal. Not being sort of extrovert. Everybody look at me. I remember. Actually, I'll tell you my first story when it came to dealing with nerves was, I was probably about 6 years old or 7 years old, and I was going through leukemia at the time, and Mum and Dad said, "Why don't you busk out front of the shop?" Right? So because Mum and Dad had a coffee shop in Queen Street, Campbelltown.
Oh yeah.
And so they set up a little PA speakers and an amp and everything, and there were some backing tracks that the only backing tracks we had access to were the ones that my dad's guitar teacher had.
Yeah.
Right, and I'd sort of get up there and nobody's hanging around, and I'd plug in, and I remember because all of his backing tracks started with and 1, 2, 3, 4. and so to start, and then I'd play, right, and bit by bit people started stopping and throwing money in and everything. This was 1989 maybe, I think it was, and it was like by the end of it was $280. In 1989, that's a lot of money. And okay, so that was a great experience. Now the week after that was when it changed, because I went to go on, but there were people waiting. There was 30 people at least just waiting. And I remember I went to go out to do my thing, and I just felt this adrenaline and these nerves and this fear, and I said to I can't do it. I can't go out there. And and I was talking to my dad at the time, and he kind of said, yes, that's right, you'll be right. Just get out there and play. Don't worry, we're here. And I just couldn't do it. The panic was kind of starting to rise, and
I think that's kind of understandable for a 6 or 7.
Well, yeah. And then my mum, who's had a bit more experience with dealing with anxiety and all that, and I remember her coming out to me and just warmly said, listen, it's no different to what you did the week before. But trust me, if you don't do it now, it's going to be even harder next week. And don't worry, we're here. Just forget about the crowd. You just play. And that was just enough for me to just throw myself into the fire. What felt the fire. And then within the first song, and I was just lost and blissed out and everything.
Especially these people were behind you as well. It's not as if they're a hostile crowd.
And that's what you forget. And is that you're when I remember fast forward to, bit by bit, the nerves, I started to understand that all these sensations are actually a good thing. They're priming you for doing something, almost what feels a bit superhuman. And fast forward to playing Zurich, Switzerland, and I'm in front of 60,000 people on stage, and I'm 12 years old. And they put me on after Elton John and before Jimmy Page and Robert Plant.
Shit.
And so I'm watching like Elton John, he's got 60,000 people just arms in the air going nuts.
Oh my God.
And it was like I was 6 again. I turned to my dad, I said, I can't go out there. What am I doing? Like I've just literally come from San Francisco where I was playing blues clubs, right?
Yeah.
I'm an instrumental blues artist. He said to me, just remember, like, the audience, they want you to do well. They want you to do well. They want to see what you've got to offer. Like
good advice.
They're on your side.
And all of a sudden that, just that perception, it kind of made me realize that, a crowd that you are nervous about, you're nervous about it because fear says that it's a threat, right? Then when you think of it like they want you to do well, they're, the most of them, except for the a few assholes, but in general, then that becomes a source of love. And they're backing you. And so I'll never forget that advice. And along with just, just still remember all you're doing is what you did in the garage. Just play. You're just doing the same thing.
How'd the show go? Was it good?
Oh, it was killer. I remember I remember after the first song, nobody clapped. It was silent, and they put their hands in the air and started going, whoa, just like 60,000 people going, whoa.
What is that?
And I thought they were booing me.
Yeah.
And I turned to, the side of stage, and the stage manager was going, this is great. And so they kept doing this
Lost in
throughout.
translation.
And when I got off, apparently that was a thing they did at that festival when they were in awe of something or when they loved something. They would go, oh.
Wow.
And at that festival, there were a few older guys on the side of stage, and one of them that was watching was George Thorogood, and I knew who he was.
Yeah.
I didn't know who the other two were, and then I walk off stage, and one of them comes up to me and he says, it was fantastic. He was raving about the show, and he asked for a CD, and then I go over to my mum, and I said, and I just said, because I said to him, my mum's got my CDs, and so I go over and mum, that guy wants a CD, and she just froze, and she's like, that's Jimmy Page.
Oh no way! What's it?
Yeah, and I'm like, who's Jimmy Page? Because I didn't know who Led Zeppelin was. I just grew up in blues.
That's fantastic.
And then I watched them afterwards, and it was like, what an education! Like just watching Page and Plant go to town on stage.
Yeah,
mind blowing.
Insane.
59 Les Pauls screaming.
Yeah.
And there's stacks of speakers.
Yeah. Did you have a singer in the band, or were you singing at that time?
No, I wasn't singing at that time, but we did. Yeah, whoever was in the band, there was generally one bass player or a guitarist that sang.
Okay.
Because the first album, I didn't have any vocal tracks on. There was one that I kind of sang, but let's just say I didn't. And and then the second one did have vocal tracks on it, because that was Andrew Strong from The Commitment sang a couple songs.
Really?
And
he's got a set of lungs on him, hasn't he?
Yeah. So we had to kind of arrange that into what would be appropriate on stage without Andrew. So we'd use other singers.
Okay.
That, yeah.
Going back to playing in front of 60,000 people, how do you adjust coming off stage, playing for that many people, having that experience as a 12-year-old, going back to, obviously you're not living a normal 12-year-old's experience at that point, but like, how do you adjust going, what was it like after the show? So once
going back to school and stuff? Or?
Well, just what was next after that? Yeah, I guess back to reality time.
Yeah. I think I didn't really know any better, because from literally that time when I met Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits, that was at 7, and then we returned to a life that just was never normal again, because that's when the media picked up on it, and I was on Hey Hey and all.
Yeah.
That's when I seen your performance on Hey Hey.
On Hey Hey, yeah.
And I went to school and everyone was talking about it.
No way.
Everyone's like, let's get a guitar. Everyone wanted guitars.
That's funny. And so that duality, that lifestyle was just, it was just life.
Normality to you
Yeah,
at the time.
Absolutely. So, there were obviously challenges. Probably the biggest challenge was, I got homesick. I wasn't somebody who particularly liked traveling. None of us really did. We had some amazing experiences. Coming home, primary school was good. I got a bit of shit from some of the teachers in primary school.
Did you really?
Yeah.
They were jealous.
Well, there was something. I mean, I don't know.
The tall poppy.
There is a tall poppy thing going on.
Terrible. Yeah.
And I kind of try to remember those experiences to just see whether I've distorted in my mind. And no, they were just straight out, just
being dicks.
And but most people were supportive. The kids at school were supportive. High school was different.
Testosterone kicks in.
Well, I think I got sent to the wrong school. I got sent to a Morris Brothers footy boys school. And Mum wanted to keep me away from the girls. There'll be a distraction to your studies. She's probably right.
It's a good distraction, though.
But
God damn it, Mum.
Yeah. So it was tough to find my tribe at school. I remember the first day, this older kid, you kind of had the Big Brother program where the older ones would show you around and everything. And then I remember him taking me around the school, and then he took me around to where the lockers were, and he said, these are the lockers. And then he looked at me and he goes, oh, you're that kid that plays guitar. And I just knew from the tone of his voice, I was like, this is going to, and he said, yeah, these are the lockers. And I turned that way, and he, like that, had me on the ground, took out a tennis ball and just smacked it into my eye, just point blank, just bang like that, and then ran off. And that was like my first day.
What a dick.
Yeah, what a dick. And
Neanderthals at that age, aren't we?
and I'm like, all right, so that's how it's going to be. And but I probably grew up thinking that I got, a lot of shit. I never identified with the word bullying because I handled it as well, and I think it taught me how to handle confrontation. But then I run into guys from school that have seen Australian Story and me relay that story on it. Yeah. And I ran into someone recently who is footy player. He went on to play for the Knights and stuff. And he's like, mate, my first day, I got my head punched in because I was going to be the footy kid. So they belted me up. So I was like, all right, well, it's got nothing to do with whether I was a musician or not. It's just
weird.
That's what kids do.
To build up their confidence.
Dicks.
And
Is that what got you into training martial arts, or were you doing that previously?
Well, when I think of my dad, I think of many things, but two big things was martial arts and music. So he always had a guitar in his hand, and he was always training martial arts. So way before high school, I wanted to do that, and he used to sort of teach me. We used to do this thing where he'd have me up against the wall, and it'd just be defending. He wanted to just make sure to start with that I knew how to evade and all that type of stuff. So you just used to throw random punches out. A lot of them would connect stuff, and I just learned how to bop and weave and block and stuff like that. And then when he figured that I had a passion for it, then I started learning martial arts then, and then it just stayed with me right up until I had chronic fatigue. So And I think what I also learned in especially the more combat orientated martial arts, even just about, and a lot of this kind of came from Dad, just about posture, with confrontation, just how much of it is also psychological, learning how to carry yourself so that you don't look like a victim, I think there were some studies that somebody sent me a while ago about the people who were most likely to just be belted up randomly often had victim posture, and they weren't necessarily the ones who were just comfortable within themselves and looked at
Jordan Peterson's got a bit on that actually.
Oh yeah,
he goes into depth about
what a champion.
Posture.
Yeah, totally. The shoulders back thing. That's great. I when I heard that in his audio book, that taught me how to. I felt this difference in how you deal with fear or anything that kind of makes you feel uncomfortable. Just the slightest change in posture changes your relationship with that feeling that you're feeling. You're like, is this going to take me? No, I don't like this feeling. To I'm gonna hold it confidently.
I can't remember the name of a therapy they do now as well. Let's say you had a childhood trauma. They'll get you to talk about it, and then they'll tap you like this on certain parts of your body, and just keep tapping, and it can actually clear up the trauma.
Like EMT.
EMT.
Is that what it is? EMT? Is it DMT? No,
that's DMT is good stuff.
We'll get onto that later. But
we've got to spare 10 minutes.
Do an ayahuasca ceremony.
A bit too long for that. And it's supposed to really work. And the mind is the body, and the body is the mind, isn't it? They are so connected.
Did you find through martial arts learning discipline and then carrying that over to your playing, or
I think they definitely fed on each other. Like I think my parents were also big on not not filling my not giving me 20 million things to do. Some of the kids would have they'd have basketball, they had footy, they had martial arts, they had the chess club, all this. It was like they really took their time to go, all right, he's showing signs of there's a passion here for something. All right, let's do that, right? And the the discipline, my dad, Italian and a bricklayer as well.
Is he still laying them?
Still laying them.
I used to lay bricks too.
Oh, really?
He is a tough guy because I hated it.
Yeah.
He looks a little better than Willie.
I'm 70.
No, I was at Bricky's labourer for about 5 years.
Did you like it?
I liked it when I realised I didn't have to do it forever. There were moments where I was like, is this what's come of my life? Like all these experiences on the road, and I'm what the but I reflect on those experiences and I love the fact that I was outside. I love what it taught me about resilience. The discipline when it came to martial arts is how to work with pain, how to work with those thresholds that you've got to push through when you feel like you can't do any more, and pushing past that, because and I feel like that can be a little bit of a lost skill at the moment. Is as soon as something becomes comfortable, uncomfortable, you stop. Yeah. And even with the way that my dad, the discipline around practicing guitar and everything, I know that some people from the outside would have gone, he's been too hard. But they always gave me a way out along the way. Like it was always like, okay, listen, if you don't want to do this anymore, they used to get me to focus on what the dream is, right? And what I love doing, to make sure if you don't want to do it, that's okay. We can pack up. It's not a problem at all. So, and each time I'd go, no, I really want to do it. So then what kid wants to practice? No kid wants to just sit there playing scales for an hour. It's just, I want to be out playing this and that's. But that's why a lot of kids don't finish anything. They don't get good at anything. And when I felt what was on the other side of that, and that's the performance, and that just gives you that determination and drive to push through more and to get better and to evolve and that's the cycle I've never gotten off.
Yeah, fantastic.
So you use the blues scale a fair bit?
I do, man.
Is there any other scales that you like to play but you don't really put into your songs? That like exotic scales? Or
I mean, occasionally I kind of dip into some of the more harmonic minor type ones, and I don't think too much. I'm a pentatonic orientated guitar player that then dabbles into. That I'm aware of the chord as well through using the root notes of where the chords are. Sometimes the arpeggio. But I hear things in melodies. A lot of the time.
Do you map it out in your head before you put it to the instrument?
Sometimes, Sometimes, like let's just say I have a chord progression that I want to do a solo over. Sometimes I'll just hear a melody, or other times I'll just keep soloing over it until a melody is established. And for the most part, there is a general plan, like on stage and with my songs, there is this skeleton, and there are, melodies and all that stuff that I've shaped it, and that's a planned thing. But I always leave room for spontaneity as well. And I learned that from playing blues clubs in America, where if you went in and you had no framework whatsoever, then you really were the victim of your emotions. If you weren't feeling it, then fuck, like you sucked. Sloppy, you're overplaying or whatever. But having those anchors there actually help you to get into the right frame of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Freedom within a box, isn't it?
Totally.
Yeah, and I was just wondering, like, you played with some really big names, but it wasn't like you were afraid of the person you were playing with, like say BB King. And you kind of, it was as if BB King wasn't even there, and you were just jamming by yourself. Was there a way that you set your mind to that, or
I think I was a little bit green, maybe just from being a kid, and BB King was an idol and is an idol, but I probably a lot of the time didn't realize like what a situation.
That's a good thing.
Because if you saw I presented an award at the Australian Music Awards with Pamela Anderson. I was fucking so nervous. I knew who Pamela Anderson was.
And
she kept me company many nights when I was a teenager. And I was not in the frame, but next to BB King and all that, it was I still got those nerves, but once the music just kind of would carry me away, and I also it was clear why I was there.
Yeah.
And that's what I was focused on. There, and I was exposed quite young to playing with big names. Like, I went literally from busking and playing on the odd Hey show to supporting Jimmy and Diesel, 15,000 people.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
What a normality to live through.
yeah, well, it means something different as the years go on. Reflecting on it as an adult.
Yeah.
Is it a positive thing?
Yeah. I mean, now it is. Like, when I sort of had some mental health dramas and breakdowns and stuff like that, it wasn't the greatest. There was a phase where it was a problem for me to have that past, because it felt like I'd fallen down this mountain, and it's like, how am I ever going to get back up to being it was a psychological thing. It wasn't a materialistic success status thing. It was more about how can I possibly do the tours that I used to do when I'm in this state mentally, and and so that was when it was hard. But then bit by bit, it then became a source of inspiration and fuel.
Yeah. Give you something to write about, you think,
Yeah, I've never really written much about my that part of my past. Now I think, no, not a bad idea.
Yeah, I think, because also I think helping people, if you're not well, that's what I found when I've had situations. You can become quite selfish, like I've got this problem and all that, and I think a lot of times the way out is actually to start focusing on other people and trying to help them, and I think maybe through music, I'm sure there's a hell of a lot of people that would. Well, that's what the blues is, isn't it? If I'm feeling down or something like that, that's why Nick Drake wrote Pink Moon and stuff, and I listened to his album, and it just lets you know that someone else has been there. And you're not alone.
Well, it's fun. I remember having a conversation a while ago about, if you play sad music, is it just going to make you more sad in life?
Yeah, no.
And is cameras all good?
Yeah, that one's just switched off, but I think it's still running on there. It's all good on Twitch, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You want to check it?
Do you want to just hit that button, buddy?
Still running on Twitch, but is it maybe not recording?
Oh, yeah, there we go.
All good.
Is it light on?
Yeah, it went on when we went over there.
Oh,
sorry, Twitch people.
That's all right. Hey, Twitch, can you hear us? Can you see it? Is it all good? The only thing is that you got to wait sort of 3 seconds. Hey, all good.
Oh,
Sweet.
good. Thanks, guys.
All right, sweet. All right, we'll carry on ignoring you.
Now, where were we?
Yeah.
We were going somewhere good then.
Hey, where were
That's
we?
what happens, isn't it, man?
Yeah. I want to know about Drifter, the solo.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
The tension in your solo. Where did that come from?
I've always loved that sort of old surfy psychedelic stuff, like even just that Santo and Johnny Sleepwalk, sorry. Just beautiful. I wrote that when I was in a pretty deep and dark place, and it was also at a time where I didn't think I'd be able to perform again.
Yeah.
So it meant that when I was writing music and playing it, it was for no other reason than just expression, because it wasn't about, I'm going to write something to then put out and I wonder what the crowd will think about it and whether they're going to play it on radio and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It was just like, that career part of my life is over, but I've got this feeling inside me and I've got this melodic idea, and so then I just created it, and
it's so spacey, that solo. It's so good, man.
Yeah, you can feel the tension in those.
Yeah.
Especially in the there's like a faster tremolo
towards
section.
the end as it climaxes.
Yeah. You feel something going on in there.
Yeah, I don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
It's
good note selection, I think.
Yeah, sometimes the those ideas, they just, a lot of them, they just come from the subconscious, from the
ether.
The ether.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was sad songs when you listen to them don't actually make you sadder, I think.
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah,
It's like the there's, have you heard of that concept, the happy trap?
No.
Yeah, the
No,
happy
what's that
trap
about?
is sort of about how when you base the success of your day on how happy you are, actually many problems that can create,
absolutely.
because you're
Yeah.
demonizing all these other natural emotions.
For sure.
And you know, recently, over the last 3 or 4 years, I've been just taught how important it is to express whatever emotion, or to just different ways that you can digest a hard emotion, which means for me that playing a sad song, it gives permission. The reason why it moves people and it makes people ultimately feel good is because for that 3 minutes and 50 seconds or whatever it is, you're kind of giving yourself permission subconsciously to feel sad or to feel however it is. And that's why music can be an incredible therapy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Release that pressure valve or whatever's going on.
Yeah.
I find that, like, whenever I'm feeling a little down or whatever, like, I will put on, I don't know, some old Johnny Cash or something that's a bit dark.
Yeah.
Have a couple of beers and just sink into it. And then it is just like a release of that.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like a good song. Like,
No,
it can make you feel a lot of different emotions.
What I've been doing lately, not music thing, I found Wim Hof. You know Wim Hof?
I love Wim
Man.
Hof. I've been doing...
I'm a bit of a skeptic at heart, man. And I thought, I'll give it a go, mate. And man, it's just almost changed my life. I don't want to be too flippant about it, but every morning I used to wake up, the kids are screaming, and I was just, it was a shit way. And I'm thinking, you know, I'm 45 or whatever now, and I wanted to be upbeat for my kids, you know. And, and I've just always had a shit start to the day. And then Wim did the breathing. I do it every morning, cold shower, and it's fucking awesome. He's amazing, you know.
It's funny the way that he talk. Like I love him. I love listening to him talk. But when he sells it, there's something about his language that makes me feel like he's selling something to me, which made me resist to start with.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, when I kind of just went, all right, hang on, because I having been around people who often, and it's also, I think it's a cultural thing as well, like the words don't necessarily match their intention. So I had to look beyond some of the words and go, all right, well, there's enough people talking about it, Laird Hamilton and all these, and Tim Ferriss and stuff like that. So I remember giving it a go. And the cold showers, the breathing is something that I'm still getting into. Yeah. But the cold therapy, I got so much out of that, and I've got to get back onto it. But I did it for about a year and a half. Yeah. And I got two things out of it: not only the physiological shifts, but also mentally. It was like a quick way for me in the morning to gauge, all right, where am I? Because I was dealing with a lot of anxiety at that time. Yeah. How sensitive am I at the moment? So if I'm feeling, if I wake up on the front foot, generally I can go in the shower and just take it. But if I'm feeling sensitive, it's like I can already feel the resistance. If that's an obvious way, it kind of gets it out of the way at the early part of the day. When you don't catch that, it kind of lingers without you knowing throughout the day, that resistance, right? So I use that as a bit of mental training to just like, all right, what's the goal here? How can I just be at peace and stand strong while I'm uncomfortable? And how long can I do it for?
That's right. I think you brought it up earlier about not a lot of people like being uncomfortable anymore, and like it's instilling that discipline to go through something that's uncomfortable ultimately for the greater good of your day. And it's like,
well, it's not cold enough for me now.
No,
and I've always been such a wuss.
Ice baths,
I've got to jump in, maybe not with you because we'll warm it up too much, mate. But I've definitely got to do the ice bath next, man. I'm into it.
I remember not that bad once you get used to it.
Go down and train with Mark. He'll put you in a...
Yeah, man. I'll come down. I'll jump
we were
in the bath.
yesterday.
Down with
ice bath.
How do you do them? Do you jump in a wheelie bin or something? Or?
Yeah, we do down there. Yeah, we just got a wheelie bin. He's about to get a.
He can't even fit in it.
But he's about to get the big box freezers.
Oh yeah.
That's what a lot of people are using.
And you just
now.
you jump in liquid in the box freezer. Like, is it not working, or is it just a freezer?
Yeah, they'll keep it running at a certain temperature. And the box freezers, I think, put a bit of chlorine in there, and like they're no different to the. You can buy self pop up ice baths, which are similar to the wheelie bins. They're just kind of a little wider and shorter. Yeah. So I mean, you can use anything, but they're a great tool. Great, not only for like your physical recovery, but obviously for the stuff we were just talking about. It's amazing how like my wife, for example, she will not get in the water if it's not like a bath.
Yeah.
I'm like, just jump in, you'll
Yeah,
enjoy
yeah.
it. She
Just
started
breathe.
to this
Has she
summer
done
a
it?
little, yeah,
Oh, good on
a
her.
little bit more, but yeah, it's just, and I feel like that stops you from doing a lot of things sometimes. The anticipation of discomfort.
Yeah.
Even
that's,
though you know it's good for you, like you just got to get stuck into stuff.
And a lot of that discomfort is also a psychological thing.
100%.
Like
Well, you're
in
worried
terms of
about
the
it
belief,
beforehand, isn't
like
it?
what it is. Like I
Yeah.
had a recent moment. I've never been good on, like I don't go on roller coasters. I don't like the feeling of the floor dropping
Neither
beneath
do
me,
I.
right? So on a plane, my challenge is turbulence, right? I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know how long it's going to happen for.
Yeah.
And I've been in some pretty severe flights in the past. Not many of them, but they've happened enough for it to play in my head. Like, fuck it, is that the flight that I'm about to go on again? And you know, now that I've been working with fear for a long time to get me out of that dark place that I was in. Just on the flight back from Adelaide, I'm kind of sitting there and I realize, okay, cool, I'm out of the moment right now. So I'm anticipating, I'm playing a vision in my head of shit going wrong, right? So anyway, we're up there and I know how to catch myself. So I bring it back in. What's happening now? Nothing's happening now. Everything's okay.
Yeah.
It's just this, right? So I'm sitting in the plane and bit by bit, I'm feeling more and more at ease and everything. And then the plane starts wobbling again. We hit a cloud and then the floor's dropping and what would normally happen is I go, I don't like that feeling. And then you have this internal resistance, which leads to panic and you're hating it, right? And then I thought, hang on, I'm just going to lean into this and be a bit curious as like what is happening in my body and what's happening in my mind. And then I started to understand, all right, well, okay, so I've got a rush of adrenaline through my body. Yeah. And then I thought, well, there are other things in life that I feel that rush and I think it's a great thing, right? Okay. Yeah. What else? Stomach is sinking. All right, there are other things that are in life that I think that stomach butterfly thing is a good thing. Yeah. And then I realized that it's not the sensations. The sensations are not the problem. Yeah. It's what has been paired up with those sensations, which is a good thing because then that enables me to work with that. So I just started imagining some other things with it and it changed the experience altogether. Yep. So
that's great. Was that only just now? Just
2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hope it sticks with you.
My secret was it's just a bit embarrassing. I just thought of boobs.
That'll do it. I did that all the time.
There's nothing embarrassing about
really hot experience. I'm like, well, that makes me feel the same way as I'm feeling now. and as I told Kenny, my guitarist next to me, goes, oh, every time it's turbulence, you're going to start.
There's so many to think of. They're all so different.
Start getting turned on during turbulence. No, there's going to be a seat between us from now on, buddy.
How are the old mates, boys?
They're not too bad, They're different.
Oh, I actually quite like them. These are old mate Moondog. Anyone that doesn't know Moondog, he was this wild composer from New York, and everyone thought he was homeless. He used to dress like a Viking in the 60s and 70s and play all these, he was blind, and he used to play all these homemade instruments and stuff. And his music is weird but it's wild, it's beautiful. And then Philip Glass, the composer, found Moondog one day walking past and he goes, this guy's got something. He turns out to be a bit of a Mozart kind of genius dude. Wow. The old Moondog. And he was a homeless, I think when he died, it ended up he actually had a home somewhere, just like sleeping on the streets.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, man, check his music out. It's great.
And the beer, because the beer's all right too, is it?
Yeah, I think they named it. That's all right. I think that's just the headphones. It's not the actual sound.
Yeah.
I think
Okay, cool.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so I rate the Moondog. Old mate
Moondog.
Yeah, sweet. I'm going well.
Do you watch UFC after all the martial arts you've done?
Oh,
MMA?
I used to ages ago, and then it just And when I got chronic fatigue, it just kept depressing me. So I was like, I want to be in training and I can't, and I kind of had to. I think that probably the last fights I watched were in the days of like Tito and stuff like that. So,
they were good days.
Yeah, they were. I remember the first time I ever watched UFC. When I was younger, somebody played me. It was a fight with Tank Abbott.
Oh shit!
And I was like, whoa, because I I didn't know what UFC was.
Yeah.
So the tournaments that I'd only ever seen were like, maybe some kickboxing ones and boxing as well. And then just to watch Tank Abbott just fucking with no style at all, just a brawler.
Straight from the pub.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
That's what he was like.
Yeah.
It's just a big bluer.
It's evolved a bit since then.
Yeah.
So,
I like them days though, because you had a
Yeah.
couple of guys in gis and someone.
I know. Yeah. Has it
can't
changed a lot?
It has.
How so?
It's evolved as a whole sport together,
more
as opposed
professional.
to. Well, it's not so much like one sport versus the other anymore. Like
the
if you're a
styles.
mixed martial artist, you tend to learn all aspects. There's obviously still guys that are better. They're primarily better
So do
strikers.
you think that
or,
the it's taken time for people to realize that they need to be multi-skilled? So then the fighting styles are generally the same.
yeah, I think everything's kind of caught up. So it was
Yeah,
like, all right,
You're a mixed martial artist now.
Yes,
you're
you
not,
have to
you're not like
develop
a
everything.
black belt.
Isn't it
in
mostly on
whatever.
the floor though now? Like it's
Oh no,
No, there's a lot of
of
stuff.
stand up.
Yeah, I think it's just it's probably the fastest evolving sport in terms of technical skill because it's so young. I think I mean all the martial arts are old, but like as a combination thing, putting it all together, it's just like lifting and lifting and lifting.
Yeah.
Like they've just brought in the calf kick.
Yeah,
Like
calf kick.
all of a sudden, no
Who
one
would
had
think
thought of
get
that.
kicked in the calf over and
Yeah,
over?
they're
It fucking
destroying
hurts.
people. Yeah.
Holy shit! I
Yeah.
can't punch anymore.
Yeah,
Like, you just
exactly.
destroyed
So
my leg.
have any of the rules changed over the years?
More rules.
More rules?
Yeah.
Like
You
what,
can't
any
gouge
obvious ones?
cuts and stuff anymore.
Yeah, you can't kick in the nuts or.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
bite.
could you ever do that? Then?
I don't know. I've heard some
So
stories.
So what about
There was a
the
kinda
knockouts and stuff? Are they a bit tighter in how like? Because I remember, I forget who was fighting, but I remember there was a guy on top and then the one on the bottom was kind of trying to pull him in, right? And like down like that, and so he's going in for the elbow and he's getting him right in the collarbone, right?
Yeah.
So it's crack, 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 and eventually the guy down the bottom broke his grip, so he ended up on the ground, and then he's just raining elbows just on top of this guy's head.
cold.
The guy was out cold,
Yeah.
and he's just still going,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, they've kind of pulled that up a bit.
yeah, right. That's it.
I mean,
And that was probably I can stomach a lot. That
Yeah.
was that when that
Yeah.
happens, that's probably what makes me get a little bit queasy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to
it's
see anyone
done.
get actual hurt. You know.
I
Yeah.
did like them days though because it said like he was a wrestler and he's
Yeah.
fighting a Kempo karate
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
or
It was
whatever.
that-
It was cool.
childhood Street Fighter thing of
Yeah.
like, here comes the judo guy versus the karate
Yeah, yeah.
champion.
And the
or
one
whatever it was.
glove, he had one glove. I can't remember the names. My
Yeah,
brain's
right.
just scattered at the moment.
Yeah.
But he had one glove, like a punching glove.
no,
He'd kind of grapple with one
Oh,
hand
man,
and
that's weird.
throw haymakers. Yeah, but that's how wild it used to be though.
Yeah.
UFC days.
I remember the first time that my wife watched UFC. I mean, she knew nothing about fighting MMA or whatever, and I remember the first time she saw somebody in a guard, just like how she's like, what are they doing? They look like they're sniffing each other's bums. Like, it's a close proximity. Yeah, well.
It is odd the first time have you ever done jiu-jitsu or
Well, the MMA that I was actually even the Buddha Jitsu, the one that I went to second dan on, and there was a fair bit of ground fighting there, and the first time was a bit weird.
was
Yeah,
that in
just-
a gi?
That
The-
one was in a gi,
Yeah.
yeah. But the MMA that I did upstairs
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah, yeah. Did you do much jiu-jitsu upstairs or
Yeah, they were big on ground fighting
Yeah.
as well.
did you prefer that more than striking or do you like the striking?
You prefer what you're better at. I'm better at striking, and
Yeah.
I was always very quick, and so as soon as I get on the ground, I felt a little bit paralyzed, and it's not like they were also conscious about who you would if I'm
Paired
with
up
a
with.
guy like fucking
Yeah.
double my size
Yeah.
and weight
Yeah.
and everything.
They're not
It's
like, how
you
much
get
do
me on
you
the
weigh?
ground. Like, what am I going to do? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's stuff that I could have if I really spent the time to learn the art of ground fighting. But one day I think when Byron gets of age where if he is interested, I
Yeah.
definitely, as I was saying before, there are great memories that I have of my dad. It was always my dad and I. My brother did it for a while as well.
Yep.
Our our arguments often got quite physical as well, because we're always sparring with each other as well. And we just fly off and
You're the older brother?
Younger,
younger.
but wiser. He's 4 years under me. Yeah. And actually, I remember when we were doing Carly Sticks grading, and it was between Dad and I. He had a great like arm because he's a bricklayer as well, so really quick with that tricep was just loaded,
just like
and
a trowel.
And but there was something going on between us as well, and it got to a point where I'm like, fuck this stick, it's just paralyzing me, and I'm just in, and we're just just going to town on each other. Yeah, headgear off, let's go.
Beautiful. So what do you like to do other than playing instruments and kids?
My the stuff I do in my leisure has changed over the years. Like, I do a lot of meditation. Yeah, right. I love just going for big hikes and I love surfing. I've surfed on and off since I was about 12 or 13, but I'm still shit at it. And that's just same thing. Just a lot of fear. I'm uncomfortable out in the ocean.
Yeah, I don't like sharks.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much the sharks for me. It's just the
drowning.
It's just the drowning aspect and
the water.
Yeah, but when I am surfing and the waves are just my type of size, I love it. Just takes me away.
Yeah, it's
and
good fun.
So recently I've just started swimming, and I realized that I'm not the greatest swimmer. I can swim, but it's not like I can swim for kilometers or even I can get in an Olympic swimming pool and be gassed out before hitting 50 meters, but on land I feel fit, right?
Yeah.
And
that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I swim like a rock.
Yeah. And a mate of mine who's an awesome surfer, he's like, mate, like if you want to get comfortable out in the ocean, learn how to ocean swim. And I thought that would be a great thing, especially while I'm traveling, for me to do. We play lots of coastal communities. Is swimming, and I had heard from friends as well who have problems with anxiety, how good it's been, and the skills that you learn through breath work and also the cold, just how awesome it is. So I've been getting lessons from my mate.
Oh, good on you.
Who works here, and she takes me down to the local pools, and I'm loving it. I've been doing it for a month now. It's the first time that I've actually gotten into the pool while away. So the day of a gig, get up in the morning, go for a swim, do some laps. Sweet. Just kind of gets my breathing happening. And it's really meditative as well. You're just looking at that line. And you're just going and
I took lessons when I was about 32. I didn't realise how shit a swimmer I was. And
it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been. I grew up in New Zealand, so we're always in the water. It's an island and that, but never formal training. I didn't even know how to blow bubbles and shit.
Yeah.
You do what? And then it's very Wim Hof-y, isn't it? You get into this meditative zone and it's the breathing. It's a real flow state. Yeah, it can be really good.
It's funny.
I have to get back into it.
Me and my best mate just started doing it on a Sunday, so we kind of organised as like a catch up, and he was a diver, so he can Navy diver, so he could actually swim. Right. But he was laughing my second lap down the pool. He's like, "You swim exactly like Rocky on Rocky 3."
Well, you're a boxer, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I turn up, no goggles, head out of the water. Yeah. But I actually enjoyed doing it after a while. So we kind of do that most weeks, and it is a good way to start the day, and because it is something so different for me. Yeah. Because I struggle with it. I don't know. It's like cleansing being in the water too, that time of day. And I kind of understand all the old guys and their budgie smugglers down there now.
Doing it. Yeah. So when you fight, like, breathing must be like a really important aspect to it, right?
Yeah, but it's something I never really thought that much about. Like, I just try and keep my heart rate as low as I can. It's something I've thought more of coming. I had a bit of a break last year. I thought I was going to retire. So it's probably the most out of shape I've been coming back into a fight camp. So it's something I've thought more of now than probably any other time. But you're definitely trying to stay calm and manage. I've noticed like I have managing cues in my head, and you're always trying to reserve those little moments. So, you know, when you need to jump on someone, or you know, you don't. But yeah, I guess generally it's not something I think about too much, because I guess it's trained in preparation.
No, I'm always in awe of just athletes in general, and curious as to what their you know, rituals are like before they go out there. Because even though we're not doing the same thing, it's similar to when you're
we have this debate all the time.
You know, a musician as well.
Yeah.
And I think, as you know, an athlete has a coach. They have, you know, the good ones have been trained in what to do before they go out there. A musician is not told.
No.
You know, and that's why there's so many musicians struggle with their mental health on the road. It's like, you know, it's you're put in such extreme situations where, you know, you're traveling, you've sort of your fundamental pillars in one way have been rocked. Your sleep, your food, you know, just familiar surroundings. You're away from people who you know, like all that stuff has been rocked, and then you're expected to go on stage in whatever state and just play at peak performance. And it's the more conversations that people are having in the music industry, I am starting to see a bit of a shift in how managers or tour managers or whatever are handling their artists.
Yeah, for sure. Food's a big one as well, you know, like it's an unhealthy lifestyle, isn't it? You know, what are you going to do? Have chicken parmigiana? Because we're going to
because you're always playing in a pub. I've recently stumbled upon, like, some of my favorites are like, and the guys on Twitch will give me shit for it, because every single stream I'm talking about it. But is Chia Pudding.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know,
okay,
it's a really easy one. It's got so much nutrients in it, and in terms of energy levels, it, like, just if you don't have access to much, you know, chia, some almond milk, a bit of fruit. And I know they can. There where they are, and you know, a little bit of honey or whatever, and I'm good for a good few hours. And but yeah, food and also sleep. I disrespected sleep for years. I'll sleep when I'm dead. That was my attitude, and until one day I ended up with insomnia and I couldn't get sleep. So it was, you know, for 3 years I was trying to just manage life on 3 hours sleep a night. And they were just, you know, that cycle of insomnia, and then anxious about getting sleep,
I've
and
had
then
a bout of it.
just, and then trying to tour like that, and it's How
did you get over that? Like,
you know, it kind of stems probably from just not dealing with you know, emotions around just one day realizing my mortality, losing friends around me. And then one day going, fuck, so what, we don't live forever? Like, you know, it's just what happens, you know? And I remember that triggered that probably my first proper anxiety attack, and I didn't know what an anxiety attack was. So I just thought I was going nuts, like going insane. And then I ended up, and that, those attacks would happen in random situations, right? And for every situation that it happened, then I veered away from that situation, because I thought it was the situation that was bringing it on. So, you know, it would be first the thought of mortality, or I want to stop thinking about mortality, and then I might have it when I'm at the pub with some mates, and then all of a sudden I'm uncomfortable in social. So then I'm veering away from that, and then eventually it happened on stage in front of people, and then the stage was never the same again. It was like, then I dreaded that, and then it would happen approaching sleep. So then I became afraid of sleeping, and it just corrupted everything.
This is like butterflies in your stomach. It's a physical feeling?
For me, like, lots of people, you know, have different sort of ways that they experience like a bit of an anxiety attack or whatever. But mine would just go straight to, and the only time I've really read it properly was in this book called, which I highly recommend for anybody who has to deal with anxiety and just how to handle it. It's called Dare by Barry McDonough.
Okay.
Absolutely incredible, really simple, really pragmatic. But he also goes through a list of you know, in a description of the various ways that people can feel it. Some can feel it through, you know, the sweats and the heart palpitations,
Yep.
and then others like not being able to catch their breath and whatever. But mine is a bit more, it's probably a breath thing, but I start to feel almost depersonalized, like dissociated, where everything almost like somebody's given me a bad pill and I space out and feel out of my body.
Okay, yeah.
And it's really uncomfortable, especially if you
Especially if
feel
you're
it on
going
stage.
to go, play something. Ooh,
Yeah, and so the insomnia, that throughout the day, and then everything was an ordeal. Like even just walking out the fucking, you know, front door was an ordeal. And so yeah, fundamentally it was, you know, I remember going to the doctors and just going, you know, I wasn't always like this, like what's happening? And I remember just getting blood test after blood test, and it got to a point where I was like, fucking tell me there's something wrong. Like I just want an answer, like why this stuff is happening, you know? And then I walked in and the doctor said, your bloods are beautiful. And it was the worst news for me at that time because I remember, and this was like 2 years of living like this. And I remember breaking down. You know, I was in the car with my wife. Well, she was my fiance at the time, and I said, I can't live like this. Like every day, I can't live in just constant fear or fatigue.
No.
And in that split second, I could understand just how somebody can be driven into the abyss.
Yep.
Which scared me that I could even understand it. Right.
Yeah.
And then the only solution that was presented to me was an antidepressant.
Okay.
And then
they work. You know, I've got a friend on them, and they work for her. You know,
Yeah.
so like, you shouldn't take them unless you have to, but sometimes
Totally.
you fucking have to.
Totally.
You know?
And so I definitely don't demonize it. And so I asked him. I said, like, why? Like. It's I'm not depressed, and then he explained about the serotonin levels, and I said, well, how long am I going to be on them for? And he said, forever. You're genetically, you know, it's your genes. It was just like it was a matter of fact.
Genes are for everything, aren't they? As a cop out,
yeah,
man,
and then
you know?
so I made a deal with myself. I said, all right, like I'll do that because I was also worried about how it was going to affect my music.
Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
a mood altering drug.
Yeah.
So you're still playing the whole time?
I'm still trying to tour.
Yeah.
And work every day as a screen composer. It was crazy. And so I made a deal with myself. I said, for a year, I'm just going to take a year. I'm going to try. I don't know what I'm going to try, but I'm not going to take it for a year.
Yeah.
See where I can get to using some other therapies or whatever. And I remember an old life coach said to me, you know, my mum's a clinical nutritionist. She works with an integrative medicine doctor. And, you know, a lot of what you're experiencing can be a physiological imbalance and can be dealt with, you know, XYZ. You should call her. And I just trivialized it. I was just like, I don't need a nutritionist, you know, to tell me I should be eating a banana as opposed to,
gut
you know,
bacteria, right?
whatever. Like, you know, it's not gluten, whatever. And that was the thing that popped into my head. I thought, I'll just
give it a go.
Give it a go.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm doing now is not working. Whatever my beliefs are, they're steering me in the wrong direction. So I'm going to try this, right? And it was the best decision. She said, send me your bloods. I sent her a copy of my bloods. And she said, darling, there's so much we can work. Like your body is working against you right now. And it was just like
stoked.
Angels just going, thank you. And she was right. And bit by bit. So it was that as well as going to a psychologist to learn how to, you know, what aspects of what I'm dealing with are psychological and what aspects are just the physiological.
Yeah.
And so the two together was bit by bit how I was able to, you know, get it to a point where socializing is not a problem, drinking is not a problem. Drinking was a problem, like in terms of made me feel like shit. And there's nothing, you know. And I say this on stage. It was like a time that I thought where the world was out to kind of crush me. It was out to actually wake me up because
for sure.
I learned so much during that time that it's benefited me in ways. It's not only kind of got me back to doing what I'm doing comfortably, but in a way that is just so much better than what it ever was.
Yeah.
That's great.
So it's a good thing to learn.
It's a
isn't it,
great
you
thing
know?
to learn. A
Yeah.
lot of those lessons were just like also being human 101. Like, how the fuck did I not know this?
Yeah.
What? You mean my thoughts affect my feel, like my sensations in my body? What the hell? Really? How did I
Yeah.
not know that?
Yeah.
I just keep. No, so that's why I'm so tired. I just keep thinking this shit on a
Yeah,
loop
fucking
in the
A.
daily.
Yeah.
I'm not dealing with it.
Is that where demons come from?
The album or the
The
song?
song
Yeah,
about insomnia and
Yeah, sort of. Demons, in a general sense, was about that time. How
Yep.
when the simple things had gotten, were taken away from me, essentially, like whether it was socializing or sleep and all these things, is like when something is taken away from you, that's how you know, what matters.
What it means to you.
You know, and that the things that you take for granted, one day they're gone, and we've all experienced that over the last
We
year.
have, exactly.
And
yeah.
then it can be. I remember Ricky Gervais saying quite a while ago is that what was he talking about? Something to do with just how sensitive people are about what you say. You say you can't say this anymore. You can't.
Yeah.
Is that experiencing when you hear something or you see something that it doesn't sit right with you, that's how you get clear on what you do like
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
and where you want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't know that unless you've experienced
the discomfort of it.
the
Yeah.
opposite.
I think that's what Tony Robbins, the self-help guy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
used to say.
He's good.
And it's
he
like,
amps me up. Like,
you can have your own island.
yeah, say I.
I want one.
Those big fucking hand.
yeah,
It's a big hand.
Well, and
banana
it's like-
fingers. He's
Because
Yeah.
people never know what they want to do with your life.
Yeah.
Like it just plods along. I didn't want to be a chef. That was my previous career. I was just saying I fell into and all that. But I liked what he said, where he was saying, well, what don't you want to do? And that's easier. I don't want to do this X, Y, and Z, and it leaves you a smaller pool to choose
Steve
from.
Jobs
Yeah.
has got the same
Has
sort
he?
of thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go into the same job too many times in a row where you hate it,
Yeah,
then you're in the wrong job.
yeah.
It's easy thought process,
and
but
it was really clever how Tony Robbins and probably others do that, because they worked out that the mind is wired to be, it's really clear what you don't like.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a protective thing. We're really good at knowing where we don't want to go sometimes. But as kids though, it's different. I find that as a kid, because you haven't fallen on your face that much and you haven't been up against something that you don't like, you just have natural desire driving you.
Yeah.
I want to play blocks.
Yeah.
I
That's
really want to play blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's trying
Yeah.
to keep that when you transition into adulthood and your career. We were talking about it on the way up in the car, actually. Like what careers people get stuck in, and not that there's anything wrong with any of the trades, but I was looking at concreters and brickies and stuff, for example, and I'm thinking, man, like I tried a couple of days later, and I was
You're
like,
like,
this,
nah.
not for you.
not for me, man.
And kudos to the people
And
that actually like doing
Bloody
it.
oath,
but
because we wouldn't have
I asked my
houses
dad
and
about
stuff,
it, and I like.
he must be happy doing it because he's done it
Yeah,
forever. I'm
I don't
guessing.
know, it's simple. I don't know.
Yeah.
He just he likes it. He chucks them in.
That's
It's what he's
great.
good at. He's
And also you
Stacking
drive
rocks,
past and you built that. Like
Yeah.
there's some
Yeah, yeah,
there's a bit
yeah.
of pride in
Proud in
that.
that,
Yeah, I never cared about that.
I think the I remember the dynamic though, and like I love what I do here as a screen composer, but I don't like that I'm staring at a screen all day.
Yeah.
And I don't like that I'm sitting down all day. And
you're
they're
alone,
all
pretty
things
much, yeah.
that I had as a labourer, where I was out under the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm moving my body, and it was a different fatigue at the end of the day. Like when I
Yeah.
get home, it was this,
You're tired.
Yeah.
and you'd have a beer or whatever, and you're just tired. But when you have worked yourself mentally all day and not physically, it's a weird tired.
Yeah.
It's like the body has still got this energy,
Yeah.
but the mind is so tired.
Yeah.
And what I learnt through dealing with all the mental aspects of what I was going through is that, and I remember a doctor saying it really, really well is that, like when you tire out a muscle, it slows down and it stops working, right? Eventually, if it stops working. But when you tire out your mind, it does the opposite.
Speeds
It
up.
scrambles and it speeds up.
Yeah.
Which is, so he says, an anxious mind, a tired mind is an anxious mind.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why you know, if you do sit down all day and you've got a heavily mentally driven, intense job, at the end of it, you won't feel like a bricky or a concrete, where you can just go, your mind is just racing and your body hasn't moved, so it's kind of feeling charged. And so I do miss that feeling of
that
just
release.
getting home and just going, whoa.
I remember the first day I ever did laying bricks, and I slept for 14 and a half
Yeah,
hours. I was ruined.
Hey, can I take a quick pee break?
Yeah,
go for it. We'll keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Keep the Twitchies entertained.
Yeah, let's have a read.
Yeah.
What do we got up there? Holy shit, there's heaps of people.
Yeah,
Somebody loves coconut yogurt and chicken.
Yeah, I like coconut yogurt.
I've been
pretty
eating
good.
way
It's
too much
different.
chicken lately, Dave. It's
Yeah,
like the
man.
go-to animal, isn't it? You know.
I've gone off it. Like I used to eat it almost every meal when I'm cutting weight.
Yeah.
Now I'm back on it. I'm just trying to stick to red meat more, man.
Yeah, there's
How
a lot
you
of
going
hormones
with
in
that?
chicken.
With the
Red meat.
oh, I love it, man.
You eating it every day?
Like we might add chicken a couple times, but it's weird. I eat it. I don't feel good on it. I had
Yeah.
kangaroo for lunch today.
Oh, yeah.
How do you
Super
go with
good.
kangaroo?
I only like the herb and garlic.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard by
It's
itself,
good.
with no
I'd
Yeah, it's a
marinade.
real gamey and
I'll tell you
But,
this story that came up on my feed the other day. It's this chicken it lived around 1820s or 1920s and got its head cut off, and it lived for 18 months.
no.
No shit. He used to take it on circus and all that, and he was feeding this headless chicken with a dropper. It's a real thing. A chicken
How does
that's
the body stay alive?
it
without
stayed
the
alive
brain?
for 18 months. The only reason it died is because it choked. He forgot to pull out the phlegm that was in it. Yeah, man. 18 months without a
Holy
head.
Fuck.
How would they document
That
that?
is crazy.
Yeah, there's photos of this chicken, man. Yeah, it was a famous headless chicken.
gonna
So it
have
makes
to
you wonder
Google
how
that.
much thought's going in a chicken. Like my wife, she'll
yeah.
eat chicken. She's not really into meat and all that, but she doesn't really consider chicken.
Yeah, she's got a hierarchy. of
She's got a
animals.
As I've taken a piss and I've returned, I'm curious what the segue was into this.
We don't know. Oh, it's Twitch.
Someone
said,
we actually had a look.
Someone likes coconut yogurt and chicken, so then we got onto chicken.
Well,
and
yogurt
red
and chicken's
meat and
good.
Kangaroos,
Yeah,
gross.
tender.
Yeah, I tried that. I don't know. Do
Kangaroo
you get that that piss taste?
It has,
kangaroos,
yeah,
it
can.
does, right?
You got to marinate
Oh,
it in something
yeah.
really strong, some port or
Yeah,
something
the
like
The
that.
herb
herb and garlic one
yeah.
is mint.
Have you
but
tried
I
that?
can't-
No.
It's really
You
good.
Give that a go before you throw it away. It's
But I
Yeah.
can't eat
It's
it
super
plain.
lean.
It's so gamey.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But the herb and garlic.
Because you only really get
edible.
the
Yeah.
fillet as well, don't you? It's not
You
like
do,
you get a
it's-
kangaroo leg. That must
nah.
be some tough meat.
Well, you
Oh,
see a lot of
yeah,
kanga bangers.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
they're not
alright,
bad.
Yeah.
Bit of tomato sauce on there.
Yeah, you gotta
alright.
do this. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like the sausages though. For some reason, I didn't.
No.
Nah, I don't know.
I'm not sure about sausages, and I just don't know if I trust.
Yeah.
I
I
don't like the
in
lip
general,
shins and
Don't know what
assholes.
they are.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, lips
I
and
just
Tissue
assholes.
bags.
I actually did probably 3 months of a butcher apprenticeship.
Oh, did you?
Speaking of, yeah.
Fuck, you've been around a bit, Marky boy.
I
You-
haven't done that much.
Were you in there punching the meat, Rocky style?
In the freezer. Like, that's why I left.
You're rock-
Actually, like from making sausages for 3 months, had this like grainy rash up my arm
Oh.
from the skins, and like it actually left divots in my hands for probably 6 months after. It looked like I
Wow.
had some sort of plague or some shit on my hand, man.
Your body didn't want you to do
No, I
it,
think I
man.
just think I'm allergic to physical labor that's not involved
So
in combat.
how do you spend your time for work now?
I just have a boxing gym,
Yeah.
which I'm just about to close, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
is
I
it-
do one-on-one training and
Great.
obviously, yeah,
Oh,
compete
damn,
in boxing.
pity you're not near the Shire.
Well, he's probably the most technical guy around. Like in terms of if you want to learn how to punch properly.
Yeah.
Well, there probably is, but thanks, Willie.
That's the first time you've
know
ever
that.
There might be, but I think we're pretty good.
heard you. That's lovely. Always need more love.
Nice, yeah.
We're always trying to be positive, eh? It's like when you have guests on and that, and if we start talking about politics or something, it can get so dark. And like
yeah.
our whole point is that there's enough dark shit. We're trying to lift
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
up.
Yeah.
You've got
I'll
to
tell
really,
you, if you want to
we're
lift
trying.
something up with Matt, just mention Bitcoin
Oh,
and we'll
no.
be lifting
Oh,
it.
Jesus, I went on last week.
Right into the Bitcoin at the moment.
Well, I'm not going to talk about
He's
it
not
this
gonna
week.
do
You
it
can
this
watch
week.
the other
This
ones.
This is about.
Yeah, it's not about me.
Yeah. Can you
That
buy
goes
your
way over
album?
my head.
Can you buy your album
On
on,
with Bitcoin?
There's only 2 or 3 Bitcoin for it. Yeah, I'm sure some Twitchers out there will give us a Bitcoin for it.
Yeah.
Got a 70 grand at the moment.
Have you got any like inspiration for the next album coming up, or you're just focusing on touring at the moment?
Well, I've been writing the odd song on Twitch actually,
Oh,
and
wow.
and
Live
also in the
on-
background.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
wow.
something I experimented with because
Lucky people.
I like being on it, and I'm really big on trying to sort of batch my time a little bit because you got to be really purposeful. And I thought, all right, well, I'm streaming. I'm committed because I want to be to streaming a certain amount of hours on Twitch. And I was a bit concerned about what that was going to do to the time I
The rest
spent
of the time.
writing, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, they were interested in seeing how I write songs and everything, so I started writing songs and it's kind of it's taught me a little bit about how to not care what somebody thinks as well, because the whole reason why a writer will often can only write by themselves is because they don't want somebody else's opinion to early on to corrupt
absolutely.
the
What they've got
process,
going
right?
on, yeah.
And that was what I was concerned about, is bringing that songwriting process to Twitch. And I'd read a negative comment or a constructive
Yeah,
one, or
yeah.
no, I prefer this
Put a G
over
in
that.
there or
That it
something,
would get in
yeah.
my head too much.
Yeah.
And it hasn't. It hasn't
Oh,
so
good on
far.
you.
Like,
Yeah,
and,
right.
and when it has, some wombat will come on and say, well, that's shit or whatever. That's been an opportunity for me to learn how to go, all right, hang on. Before I just take that in, do I agree with that comment?
Who is this person as well?
Yeah. And,
like,
you know,
do I
go
care?
fuck
that's
yourself.
right. Yeah.
But and also, I
I
think,
think that was
yeah,
my response actually to that particular one.
There's not much.
Hate digs.
You can't
And,
reply to that. That's great. Yeah,
because
done.
you have to then get clear on why you do what you do. So do you want to put music out solely because you want to please people, or do you want to put music out fundamentally because you love it, and then second to that is you want people to
It has
enjoy
to be
it,
that,
right?
doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
We had this discussion with Anthony Snape last week, and we're talking about, he's come back from Nashville to Wollongong, so it's just been like this for him and his career, really, when he's trying to get things going there. But yeah, you were saying, look, you can fail at, you might be a covers band, or something, you can fail at that. So if there's an opportunity to fail, you might as well fail at doing something you love.
Yeah.
And also, and that's where the real connection is. If you don't feel it, if you're going to change your music because it suits a radio or something, it's just fake, man.
But there are other, like, if you are going to sacrifice what you love, do a fucking another job that's actually going to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
fucking
there
right.
are other jobs out there that where you don't love it, that you're
mining.
better off making some money out of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come underground.
Yes. Yeah, and also I think so the idea of, since recorded music came out, was here's the album, you buy it. You don't understand the process that went on behind the album or anything. And I think what you're doing is maybe the way of the future as well, is like, here's a song, here's a chord structure, and let's see how we build it up. And you're bringing people on the whole journey.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they're not going to buy the album or the single. In fact, they're probably more likely to buy it.
No, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm noticing that they're following it. They're growing some. There are feelings about the song.
Yeah.
And then they want to know when it comes out. And on top of that, because they've followed the process, they know how much goes into it, creating a song. They're also more passionate about promoting it once it's out there.
Yeah,
They're going to
Absolutely.
help it,
You got to take your
spread
tribe
the
along
word.
with you.
So
Yeah, they've
it's,
been part of it. So.
yeah. I and sometimes I wrote a song on Twitch called Creep,
Yep.
and it was about it was inspired just by a couple moments that I had when I was running high on teenage hormones, when you're just head over heels for somebody, and you don't realize how creepy you're being.
Yeah.
And just the stupid shit that I used to do, and we had this conversation. I'm like, I want to write a song about just a real fun, quirky song that is to do with being a creep. And so I said to everyone on Twitch, I said, so give me some examples. What are some things that, you would do? And so they just rattled off, examples, like, and some guy, chimed in and he goes, what about if you make a dream catcher out of her stolen hair?
Oh, that's
very
creepy.
creepy. That's going right in the song. So and a lot of that the
helped
song
out.
from their suggestions, and then the only part that I find difficult to do on Twitch is banging it into an eloquent lyric. That can sometimes take a lot of staring at a wall. You know, like just for
I think you're insane how long
and it's
it
just
takes.
a boring stream, you know.
It would be. We'll come in with the right chord progression. Yes, you're almost there, and then you just repeat this thing for hours sometimes to get it right.
Totally.
You have to be a bit insane to do it. There's something a bit weird.
Even more insane to watch it.
I'm sure they would.
That's
creepy in
insane.
itself, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, man. It's good. It's working for you, and you've given us some ideas. Actually, I think
definitely.
we might jump on the Twitch.
Forward, yeah.
So, are you still on Facebook and that? Or
Yeah, they all work hand in hand. You know, you're gonna have different crowds on different platforms, and you know, I've got Twitch and then Instagram and Facebook, and I'm told to jump back on Twitter, which I'm resisting, but apparently Twitter and Twitch go hand in hand.
And Twitter's got a wide. We got told to get on Twitter as well, and it's got a wider feed. Like if you post something on Facebook, 4 people. My wife did it the other day. She posted, and 4 people saw it. They want you to pay for everything. You know? So I think Twitter feeds out a lot more.
Okay.
You know. Yeah, and starting your community, isn't it? You know, it's a network. I've read this really good book, "The Future Starts Here" by John Higgs, and it's about this current generation, the generation that was born since the mobile phones come out, really, with the internet on them, iPhones, and you know everything's so pessimistic. If you listen to modern media about these people, you know they're on their phones constantly, but he had a completely different view. They're networked people. You know, they don't have friends. They have a friend group. Like it's when they take a selfie. We've spoken about this before. The selfie's not look at me, I'm cool. A selfie is look where I am to their friends group. You know, it's not a hierarchical structure as our society used to be. What we're having now is a network structure where what affects one side affects the whole system. And it's really there's a fundamental change going on in society, and this is all part of it. You know, and it's interesting. We had the Steel Age, the Bronze Age, and all that, and now we've got this age, the iPhone age.
And I think it's like pays to know about it as well for the kids, so you know what they're going to be dealing with. Like I don't know, maybe I'm old school, but I don't understand the little ones being on social media.
No, I don't get it, man.
No. I've got a friend who's at school, and you know there was cyberbullying going on, but it's cyberbullying. They're in primary school. How is this fucking cyberbullying going on in primary school? Oh, it's because they have their phones out at. What the fuck are they doing? Their phones
Where's the
out. They're
parenting
like 8
people?
years old or 9 years old with their phones out at lunchtime. Like, you know, it's kind of like. You know, there's a reason why you've got your L plates on when you're driving, and then all that. It's like boom, drive. You know,
the fucking
mental capacity to deal with these things.
It's hard enough for adults to deal with.
Let alone males, even teenagers, but to put kids in that situation.
Men don't even form our frontal lobe till we're 25. So that affects.
Is that true?
Yeah, decision making is.
Well, that explains.
So we can't make choices.
So
very good. Yeah, we're idiots until it.
Yeah.
Some people maybe older.
We're still idiots.
I'm still growing.
That's why we put our kids and the youngest two into Montessori. You know, I was just trying to find any, because you know I love public schools. I love the idea of it, but they get iPads from the age like Arlo's 7 now, and they have to have an iPad. He goes mental on a screen, man. He's just a kid that. It sucks the energy out of it. He shouldn't have them, you know.
I know. Yeah, Byron seems to be. Quite sensitive to like too much screen time. He turns into an asshole.
Heaps of kids are, man,
after
for sure.
It, and it's really hard to but you know, like it's good, you know, to understand how to use something versus there's a lot of people out there who've just you know demonized technology in general. It's because you're not. You know, you can't. It's like demonize. Don't demonize a car just because you don't know how to drive it. And
that's right.
You just got to learn how to. And there'll probably be some time for us as society because it's happened so quickly to learn. You know to teach our kids to deal with.
Absolutely.
you know,
I remember if I could see some of my earlier Facebook page, posts, we had no idea what this thing
No,
was.
I know. They're hilarious.
Now it's just for cats, like all of this. It's not a serious thing. Don't get.
No, I remember just even the little things like, just how wrapped I was that you could send a text message.
Yeah.
Like whoa, that's in
Yeah.
$2. $2 a text message or whatever it was.
Right.
It was just. You mean I can send a picture?
But what about
Hey, I
when
can send a
like
picture.
games, Snake? Snake
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
huge.
yeah,
Everyone's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
got Snake on there.
And then I think like, how easy is it going to be for my kids for porn?
Oh.
Like what I used to have to go through
Oh, man.
when I was underage
Yeah.
just to see, one
Boobies.
nude picture.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
It was
either I
probably
had to-
Pamela Anderson, maybe.
It was the first one ever.
She was kind of
Did I
popular in
Was
the.
she on
Yeah,
Playboy? Was she?
Yeah, she
Yep.
did Playboy.
Oh yeah.
She very much was.
What a
Man.
beautiful woman! She was
Smart.
on.
Yeah.
I love what she's doing with Julian Assange now. She's kind of like reminds me of Marilyn Monroe. Like everyone think Marilyn Monroe, dumb blonde bombshell. You read her what she actually did. She was a brilliant person, Marilyn Monroe. She played this blonde bombshell to a T. She read everything under the sun, man. She was a really clever cookie, and I think. Who we talking? Pamela Anderson.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar, and you can see now what she's doing, trying to help out Julian Assange and things like that. When you see her talk, she's pretty onto it,
Okay. Good on her.
Yeah, fucking hell.
So you met Hasselhoff?
I did because I was in Baywatch.
Have you been?
Were you-
Yeah, I remember.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
yeah.
Really?
That's
that
right.
reminded me.
That's crazy.
Well, I wasn't
in
on
the peak part.
Baywatch. No, I was on. I was on the spin-off, which was Baywatch Nights.
Oh,
And it's like, what did the lifesavers do
At
after
night time?
hours? They're detectives.
of course they are.
And I played, a kid who had I had no parents or something like that. I was like a street rat who played guitar with this older dude, and there was a villain after me who was played by Mike Preston. From Mad Max, the original Mad Max.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And
Good villain.
and it was a full on thing. Where's the cash? Where's the money? And the car chase scenes and everything. I was in a stunt car, and I wasn't told that they were putting me in one and what was going to happen.
Oh, shit.
And the stunt car driver said, "Oh, do you want to come for a ride?" And I'm like, yeah, sweet. He goes, "We're just going around the block." Yeah, cool. So I sat in there, and he goes, "You might want to put your seatbelt on." Okay, all right. I'll put my seatbelt on. And just floored it, and he's just flooring it straight towards this wall, just gunning
shit.
it. And I'm like, this is mad. And then up the handbrake goes, and through the streets of Venice Beach, all these tight little alleyways. It was nuts. It's great. But I was pretty devastated that I was psyched. I was like, Baywatch Nights, I'm in it. But there was Pamela Anderson was not in it.
Oh, that's a rip-off.
That's
If you want anyone on a Baywatch night, it's probably her.
That's right.
Yeah.
Have you been following the Hoff's musical career at the moment?
No, I heard.
He's in like a German metal
German.
sort of
big in
band.
Germany.
Yeah. He did a song not too long. It wasn't too bad.
That's a smart guy.
Bit
He
different.
was a really nice guy. But I remember there was a scene in Baywatch where my sort of minder, the one that I was sort of like a father figure to me in there, he was in the hospital bed and he'd been beaten up and everything, and I'm having to cry and I'm going, please wake up, like the stereotypical thing. And I'm not an actor. I can't act for shit. And well, that's what I think. And I was never taught how to act sad or to cry or whatever. So it's a full on scene, and I'm trying to I'll keep up all my studies, and I'm saying these lines and everything, and I'm trying to bring on the waterworks, and then I put my hand my hand down and my head down on top of his hand, as he's lying in the bed, and then this tap on the shoulder, and it's like, it's okay. Like that, and I look up, and it's David Hasselhoff, and I just remember having this, and they must have had to do the take like 10 times or whatever, because it was just surreal. I kept looking up and seeing the Hoff, and then pissing myself laughing just because of just how surreal it was. This is what the fuck? Life. This is weird.
Yeah, it is fucking weird. So you guys were living over in the States then?
On and off, yeah. We kind of would spend 3 to 6 months of the year in LA across a few year period. So I did a movie there, which the most famous person in that was Jessica Alba.
Oh yeah.
And before she was known, I had more lines than her. And so that was a Disney movie, and then that was the same time that I did my second album, which was but it was the first album under Michael Jackson's label.
Yeah.
And that was a big 2 years, 94 and 95, because that's when BB King, the touring BB King, and all those.
And you did the McDonald's ad with BB King that same year.
That's right. Yeah. That's kind of how we were brought together, and then he invited me on the road with him.
Yeah, that ad was huge.
crazy,
I remember that ad still.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool.
I know, man. That's the fucking shit that I heard at school.
Oh, man, you would have.
Like,
There you go. So yeah, it was cool.
Did you learn anything from BB? Like, did he ever sit down and
No. I mean, I learnt. He told the odd story. I remember him telling. It kind of gave me an idea of the racial problems that were over there. The keyboard player was chatting to him about it, and there was a keyboard player who was in Guns N' Roses. Use Your Illusion tour. He was my keyboard player, and he asked him about that today, like, how does it feel? Is it different? And he's like, he said it was different, but still to this day, when he goes particularly down south, even as BB King, and at that stage he was 65 years old, each time he said, particularly I see a police officer, I want to run and hide in the bushes, because that's what they were taught growing up, is that if you see the police, right, run. Yeah. Hide in the bushes.
That's wild.
What a wild way to be brought up.
Yeah.
So that a bit of insight on what goes, because we were there like I think it was
Is that Rodney King?
A year after the LA riots.
Yeah.
So it was a strange time to be in LA, and and there were lots of shootings and stuff. I remember where we were staying. Just the level of violence there compared to what we would experience here.
Yeah.
And I grew up, that part of my life was in Roos, which was next to Eds and, some more rough areas. But it's nothing compared to what was over there. I mean, where we were staying, just 2 blocks down, a car drove into a cul-de-sac, took a wrong turn, and a Hispanic gang opened up, lit them all up. And they were ambushing what was supposed to be a gang, but it was a family. It was just and so that was, we got lost in fucking MacArthur Park in South Central LA once, just taking the wrong turn again and going, whoa, you just never seen anything like that. And so I digress. But BB King, most of what I learned from BB King was just through observation, how blues translates on a big stage, the power of a show, the power of just, singing and playing from the heart, purposeful melodies and lyrics. And this was captured in the McDonald's commercial when he was saying to me to be you. And as a kid, I didn't sort of understand what that means to be you, but as I get, as the years went on, I started to realize what that meant, and also seeing the times when I wasn't me and how life was then, and versus when I am true to myself. And still to this day, I keep kind of coming back to that, and it means different things at different times. Sometimes it can be to do with music, and sometimes it can be just with how I carry myself and how I socialize, and even when going through all those mental health challenges, just socializing. Like, sometimes you don't realize how much of when you're socializing and talking is actually just
front.
And it's just surface level.
Jim Carrey went through something similar.
Oh, what a legend. I've just listened to his interview on, have you listened to WTF?
No.
With Mark Maron.
I
Great
listened
podcast.
to Stuart Lee, the English comedian.
He interviews Jim Carrey. But go ahead. What were you saying?
I was just saying he went. I remember him going through such a similar thing where he didn't know.
Jim are the same.
He didn't know who he was. Kind of. These are all. He was playing a character all the time. He felt like he didn't know who he
got
was.
lost in himself.
Yeah.
But that's what I suppose, the movement of being present in the moment and giving your attention. And I do that. Someone's talking, like, especially with your loved ones. You know, my wife. We've been together a while. I think I know what she's going to say, and then I kind of switch it off. I'm thinking about butterflies, also, and then she comes out with something like, "What was that?" Because she's full of surprises. Every human is full of surprises, man. You don't know what they're going to say.
When you kind of start to align yourself with just with your own truths, then it also changes who you want to hang around with. And you start to see things differently. Like during that time, I would also, and I say this on stage as well, to give my mate Kenny a good, some props, is that you also find out who when you go through shit, who your good times friends are. And your all times friends are.
That's right.
It says how many people are there for you during the good times when things are great and they're partying and everything, and then you go through shit and they just disappear.
Yep.
And versus, that other person who's just there, who checks in, help you out if you need help, and that's and especially as I'm getting older and time, with my kids and time is a lot more precious. Just being a bit more particular on who.
Absolutely.
Who you surround yourself by,
Time is very precious.
And I also think one thing that with our network community and that is integrity. That's all I want from someone is be honest about who you are and what you're doing. And I think integrity will be the catchphrase of the future, really. Like we'll be judged on our integrity. And that's all I care about. As a person, that's what I want to be. I want to make sure I'm being honest.
Genuine.
Being genuine. Yeah. And sometimes you're not. You don't even realise you're not. I remember once when I was living over in London, and we're at a barbecue with all these people I knew, and then my son, who must have been 4, came up to me or something and goes, why don't you like him? And there was a guy at the table. And I'm like, what do you mean I don't like him? And then I thought about it and was like, no, he's an asshole. Yeah. And all us adults, we were cool with, we pretended we liked him, but the kid could see straight through it, man, Crazy, And I bullshitted myself. I thought, like, no, this guy's being a dick, So,
do you guys have problems with having to be careful what you say in a time where you've
we really should be careful, but
we pride ourselves on. We more pride ourselves on not filtering what we say.
But only because we're coming from an honest. Like we want to be positive, and we're not into bummers. But we're going to say whatever. But it's never from a negative point of view. Like we always. So we're not
out to be assholes.
But we make mistakes too.
But we do.
And if you've got a better point of view that. We'll change our mind. We're open to be.
I changed my mind like that. Man. You've got a better argument.
We're human.
I'll change.
Yeah, we are. We do.
Some of us are.
Occasionally we slip up. Yeah, we're just.
Mark's a machine.
That's I was just having a conversation on Twitch about how I want to just teach my kids how to read people's intentions and their hearts. Not so much what their words are, because people explain things sometimes differently. And you get caught up too much in what they're saying rather than the heart,
the initial,
of it.
Encounter. Kids know, and we all know, like people have an aura about them, man, and you can talk yourself out of it. But generally, it's pretty spot on.
Intuition.
Your intuition. Yes.
Gotta connect and listen.
What's
to
your
it,
favorite guitar setup?
Right.
I want to get into a bit more guitar stuff.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because,
it's changed over the years. I've always been fairly simple. I don't like too much shit at my feet. This actually what I've got at my feet now is probably the most that I've ever had. Yeah. Mainly because I've got some more psychedelic sounds that I'm incorporating in what I'm doing. Whereas before it was just like it's just blues. Give me a wah-wah and a distortion pedal and then that's it. So at the moment I'm running, an old 70s Crybaby. Wah. I've got, just trying to remember, a compressor pedal.
Yeah. Or stomp box. Do you rather the stomp box?
I do both. I do both. So I've got, ideally if I could get everything out of one little multi-effects unit, I would love that. Now I'm not a purist for the sake of it, but sometimes pure is better. So I I haven't been able to find a multi-effects unit that does everything that I want
Yeah.
really, really well.
Yeah.
But the closest thing that I have, which does a lot of amazing things, is the Line 6 Helix.
Yep.
Okay.
Not the amp modeler, just the multi-effects. I'm not brave enough to let go of my amps now and go to amp modeling. Although I do that on Twitch. And I don't plug through my amps.
What do you
run
use?
through the Helix plugin. It's killer.
Yeah.
Right.
It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, I've got my some stomp boxes. I've got the Line 6 Helix multi effects.
Yeah.
And then I run a small, like an SPD just for simple beats on stage.
Yeah.
And then Kenny has his stomp, like an actual just stomp that you can hear.
He's an acoustic player? Is that
No, he's he plays acoustic sometimes, but it's our set's electric.
Okay.
And then for most of the shows now, we've got a third, which is a trumpet player.
Oh, nice.
It adds a bit of trumpet and then a little bit
Yeah.
of percussion and some backing vocals.
Yeah.
My dad actually, when your album first came out, he said, "Oh, this Nathan Cavaleri's got a new album," because he plays trumpet. And he heard the trumpet.
Yeah,
Anything with trumpet, he goes mental
yeah,
over
he
it.
loves it,
it's-
especially new music.
Yeah,
And
no, it was a great flavor to add. Like I can't remember the first time I heard trumpet in a way that wasn't jazz, but it was more sort of in the
It's
folk.
like a flat.
It's more of a
sort of a
folk
sound,
orientated means of playing, and
Yeah.
a bit more sort of indie folk. The way that I used we
Yeah.
use trumpet in my stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
we had a discussion last week. I saw this. A friend of mine posted. I think it was a New Orleans funeral, and it had like 20 trombone players, and they're all just sitting around in a
Oh, wow.
barbecue. And there's old ladies with clapsticks and that, and they started off this rotating melody. And 6 minutes later, I felt like just jumping on the chairs, man. It was fucking fantastic. And I've actually decided to start. We talked about it last week. Start trombone lessons because I'm a guitarist. But in that situation,
Wow.
you just don't compete, man. Like
Yeah,
there's something
yeah.
about the breath and the
Yeah.
horns, man. You don't have to go through an amp or anything, man. They were
Yeah,
living
yeah.
it. It was
There's some
great.
tradition to that, but I guess like
Yeah.
how often we used horns to call.
Yeah,
people.
Yeah,
bugles
true.
and that, man,
Yeah.
for sure. There's something about the breath is filling this thing, you know.
Yeah, when I watched I forget what the band was called, but they were kind of like a ska band, but they were mostly they were called La Brass Band. I think they were from Germany or whatever, and they were supporting a Shire band called Caravan of Sun.
Yeah, I know them.
Yeah, and the tuba player. I mean, these guys had a lot of energy on stage, jumping around and everything, but the tuba player,
Yeah,
the breath
yeah.
of that. I mean, like, 2 songs in and he is dripping in sweat.
Yeah.
Just the amount of breath to play a sousaphone or a
And keep playing
tuba
it.
and just to keep playing it, especially the
hell.
way that he was
Yeah.
insane, and then jumping around with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen Fat Freddy's Drop play?
I haven't seen them live. No.
Yeah. Their trombone player, man. Like he's this big boy and he's got a big gut and that, but when he gets wobbling on that trombone, it's fucking fantastic, man. The whole band's behind him and he's just rocking this crowd with this funny instrument. It looks like an elephant.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
So, yes. Trombone. Next time we meet, well, maybe not meet. Next interview, I'll be a trombone.
You'll be a trombone
player.
player.
Yeah. I'm
Shit,
gonna,
I hope
It's,
not.
it's a good interest. It's not the most pleasing to listen to when you're learning it, I don't reckon.
No.
nah.
No.
I just
At
wanna
least you
rock.
can turn down the guitar. You can't.
Yeah.
Really,
Or you can
Imagine
take
it-
the amp, like unplug it from the amp
Yeah,
and
yeah.
pretend.
Can't be worse than the what's the one in primary school that you learn that always
recorder?
lets out the.
Yes,
Is it the clarinet?
Nah, it's the recorder, man.
Is it the recorder that does that? That was everyone's bum notes can kind of be, disguised.
Yeah.
But there was that one with
I
it
know
was
the
the
recorder.
recorder that would let out.
Have you ever
that
hit a bum
squeal.
note in front of a lot of people?
Oh
And-
yeah, mate.
But
I would
where
say
you've thought, did they fucking hear that? Or
It's jazz,
yeah,
baby.
Yeah. I always said no. The worst stuff up I've ever had, which was it was terrible.
no.
I was, and it's the type of thing you shouldn't stuff up. This was again when I was about 12 or 13, and there was an ice hockey game between US and Canada, and they wanted me to play the Canadian anthem, and the Spin Doctors were playing the Star Spangled Banner,
Yeah.
and I was the one who went on first, and so I'm playing the Canadian anthem. I've never even heard it before. And they gave us was a classical recording of it and some manuscript. And we don't even know how to read notes like on it. So my dad and I are trying to learn it by ear, dissect it, are we following the violin or the trumpet? Like, which one are we going with? We haven't sung it. We don't even so we just picked what we knew and I kept playing it over and over again and just drilling it into me and then I got introduced, and to play the Canadian anthem or whatever it's called, Nathan Cavaleri, and so I walk out into the middle of the ice, and the thing that that probably threw me was that I didn't like the whole stadium stood up. Ooh. So when you hear a whole stadium go like that, and it's just quiet, like you hear a pin drop, and that's what threw me off because I was like, shit. It just hit me. I'm playing a country's anthem, and then I'm in the middle there, and then I start it, and I'm playing, and all I've got is this monkey mind going, "Don't fuck it up, don't fuck it up, don't fuck it up," and the inside of my head and everything, and eventually, and then the other part of my mind, all it heard was from that monkey mind was just fuck it up, and it's not the don't fuck it up. So it's like when they say about race car drivers, don't look at the poles and whatever, you got to look about where you're going. Yeah. I was just looking at those poles, and then boom, I just smashed into a pole. I hit one bum note, and because it's not a pentatonic scale or anything, and like I don't know where I am on the board right now. So all I did, then I just was like, I'm lost. So I wailed. I just went dun, 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 just wailing away and
play fast,
and then it's like, please get me the fuck out of here.
Were they all right? Was the crowd okay? Yeah.
I mean, they didn't boo. I mean, but then the Spin Doctors came on and it was terrible. I mean, can you imagine the Spin Doctors doing an anthem? Like, that's not the type of band that would do an anthem. And so I didn't feel that bad for absolutely butchering the Canadian anthem.
Yeah. Most anthems are bloody boring. I was thinking, because I'm from New Zealand originally, and I was thinking, New Zealand anthem sucks, The Māori version's all right, but I was thinking, what would be a good New Zealand anthem? And I thought it was brilliant. Well, Dragon's a Kiwi band originally, and I thought April Sun in Cuba.
April Sun in Cuba, yeah.
That'd be perfect for New Zealand national anthem. Sing about somewhere fucking sunny.
Yeah, Australian ones
they are boring.
A bit shitty.
Why are they so shit?
But I don't know.
Well, I didn't. I didn't realize how recent the Australian anthem. I could be getting this wrong, but I believe the Australian anthem only became our anthem very recently.
Oh, really?
Like officially it became our anthem in the 80s.
Yeah, it was like Australian Day only started in the 80s as well.
Oh, hang on, that's what I'm getting confused.
Oh, yeah.
Ignore me. I knew as I was saying, I was like, the monkey mind was going, I don't think that's right. Do your research, buddy.
That's all right. Don't worry. Don't worry. We like making
bro
shit
science.
Up
Oh, shit.
So you played the Com Games?
No, I played the Paralympic opening ceremony.
Yeah.
That was the Australian anthem there. They wanted a Hendrix version of the Australian anthem.
Oh, right.
That was strange. They just going up that podium, and nothing can prepare you for what 100,000 people looks like, or 90,000 people.
Yeah.
That was just absolutely epic.
Yeah.
There is a point though where you're not seeing people anymore. It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's just a thing.
You're fairly like pretty far away though, aren't you?
Yeah, I was up on some sort of tower thing. They dressed me in these stupid pajama looking things. I don't know.
I was going to ask you if you picked
I don't think I like this in the wardrobe. Like, just don't worry, it's the theme of the night and everything. I'm like,
what,
sure.
shit theme?
Yeah. And it sucks because it's generally the first image that pops up when you Google my name. So
it is.
Still to this day, it's like there's shit in my hair and I'm wearing this blue and gold stuff and with some
he's not going to live
Savage
this down
Garden
for like
sunglasses. And there's lots of embarrassing times when you're growing up and puberty in front of the.
Oh yeah, man, it
of
must
the
be
camera.
bloody awful. I'm not sure, but thinking myself, like I was so, what's the word, self-conscious.
As most teenagers
are, and then you did it in the limelight, man. It was pretty.
Yeah,
it's a tough gig.
Yeah, girls is going through that and being like so self-conscious, and then having to deal with the hormones in relation to the opposite sex.
Did it work out all right with that?
No.
No. So being a rock star didn't help it?
No, well, I just thought they going to a Marist Brothers boys' school and then just people paying me out all the time. It did nothing for my confidence. So as far as I was concerned, girls would not be interested in me at all. So I didn't pursue it. So, and there was a lot of shit going on around that time. That my parents were worried about my safety. So they were really, that I wasn't really allowed out to too many parties and all that type of stuff. And and there was lots of girls at gigs, but I just thought that they thought of me more as a performing monkey rather than, somebody that they could be attracted to. Yeah. So my confidence sucked ass. I remember, and I do tell this on stage sometimes. I got two experiences. One was, so I've got this, trying to build up my confidence. I'm like, I love girls. I just want to, but I can't do anything. I just and my parents are traveling with me on the road, and they're cock blockers, and so we're playing a place called Port Hedland. I don't know if you know that is. Port Hedland. And during the bus ride, some of the older guys in the band, because I was traveling with guys who were in their 30s and 40s, and they were trying to encourage me to, get in there. And my dad finally kind of worked out that, I needed encouragement, right? So he would just say, just talk to them. They want to hear what you got to say, and just talk. And so, it's okay. And so I'm getting all this encouragement, talk. Okay, cool. So we rock up to the gig at Port Hedland, and we look at the poster, and it says Nathan Cavaleri, special guest, the T-Birds. And I'm like, the T-Birds, and there's this photo of a whole bunch of girls there, and then I look around, there's another photos, and they booked strippers. To be my support act, right? And I was 14, and I was like, spectacular mistake. This is great. And so I walk into the band room, and the band room is kind of a whole side of where the beer garden is, and it's all glass windows. And then there's also there was the glass windows, and then within 5 minutes, my mum had arranged for it to be covered up with brown paper and cardboard and stuff like that, right? So they covered it all up. I'm like, no, it's okay. But then I spotted a window down the end of the backstage that was a window into their dressing room. Yeah. So I'm like looking around, going, and then I can't do it. And then anyway, so they finish the show. The boards come down. I go up on stage, and you know what it's like when you're up on stage and you finish. You kind of feel, you're probably the most confident when you're off stage. You just feel really good, unless it's you've been shit. But generally, there's that adrenaline, and I'm feeling pretty good. And they were watching me, and so I go backstage, and I'm watching through the glass windows, and they're just chilling out and dancing and drinking and stuff like that. And I'm just watching, and all I can, my dad's advice in my head: just talk to them, talk to the girls, talk to them, and everything in my body, because I was so hormonally charged, just go, don't fucking go out there, don't go out there, stuff. What am I gonna say? Nice show, wish I'd saw it, blah blah. And then she spots me. One of the girls spots me and points at me, and then come over here. Say, come over here, and my heart's racing, and I'm like, all right, and I say my dad's voice again, just talk, and in my head, right? Yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. So I put down my apple juice and I walk out and having a discussion and I didn't know what to say to her. How was your show? Because I was also 14, so I was like, and then we're getting along, and there's a bit of a click and a bit of a chemistry. So you want to dance? And I'm like, yeah, all right, let's dance. Yeah. So, and just as I was about to slow dance with her, I just hear my mum's voice, Nathan, get back in the band room now. She struts over, right? And she grabs me, she pulls me. I'm like, what the hell? And then she rips shit into this girl. She goes, for God's sake, do you not know how old he is? He's 14 years old. And that's.
I don't think Dad would have done that, would he?
Well, do you want? I'll tell you.
Is there another one?
We're in. Have we got time?
Yeah, man.
We've got plenty of time.
So we're in Cairns, and and I play this show, and there was this gorgeous girl, giving me the eye in the front row, and I'm like, wow, she's just stunning, and yeah, probably about the same age, similar age, maybe 15, I think. Yeah, around about then. And so we finish the show, we go backstage, hanging with the band. Security guard knocks on the door and opens up and says, "Hey Nathan, there's a girl out here and she wants you to sign her boobs." And I hadn't even seen boobs. I hadn't even kissed anyone. Right?
Wow.
I had kissed one, but not.
No time.
I didn't kiss her. She kissed me. So it wasn't. Yeah. Anyway, so I was. And I looked at my dad, and I'm like, nah, I can't do that. And he's kind of shaking his head, but the other boys in the band are going, yeah, go on, do it. And I'm like, nah, I can't do it. And the security guy's like, so you sure you want me to tell her no? I said, yeah, tell her no. And also, like, I grew up, where it's not to objectify a woman and to respect a woman, and a woman is a queen and a princess and stuff like that, right? Which was sort of making me also feel that the hormones inside my body were almost a bad thing, because it was encouraging me to like, well, I like boobs, but then you shouldn't objectify a woman. So I was just really conflicted, right? Yeah. And then about 20 minutes later, the security guard comes back, says she's not going anywhere until you sign her boobs. And then I look to Dad, and Dad goes, and then I'm like, what? Yeah. And he's like, it's, just think of, you'll be telling this story forever. Like, just do it. And I'm like, well, I can't, and then he had a chat with me. He's like, it's no big deal. It's like, all right. And then he gets up and he goes, right, boys, out of the room. Like, what? You guys are going? You're not going to stay? Yeah. I needed some support. Like you're going to leave me by my own, by myself. And they're like, no, we don't want to make her feel uncomfortable. Everybody out. I'm like, oh shit, what's she going to do? And she comes in here, and so she walks in, and she's like, and I'm talking about everything. Like, I'm not even. I don't want her to get a word in, because I don't want her to say, can you sign my boobs? So anyway, we flew in from Sydney last night and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get off the stage talking about pedals and shit that doesn't matter. And then I ran out of things to say, and she goes, so can I get your autograph? And I pick up a pen and a paper, like real quick. Yep, sure. Who do you want me to make it out to? Yeah. And she's like, and she grabbed my hand, she put it down, she said, I don't want you to sign on a paper. And I'm like, okay, all right, what are we doing? And then it's just the denim vest and everything. The bra stayed on. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I started up the top of the neck, because I was just too. She's like, no. And then so I signed them. Yeah, it was great that I had a long name. And then she said, can I have a kiss? So I fucking kissed her on the cheek, right? I kissed her on the cheek, and then she walked out, and then the boys came back in, and then, did you have fun? Yeah, and as I'm walking out, I'm at the back of the line when I'm holding my two guitars, and I just felt this arm, and it was her. She pushed me up against the pillar, and she just planted a massive kiss, tongue and all. Yeah, and I'm just, and then that was it, and then she gave me a card. She was the receptionist at the in the hotel next to me, and so I'm looking at this card in the van on the way back, and Dad goes, "You've had your fun," It's like, okay, and then he takes the card, and that's it. And damn it! Maybe he just took the card. He's like, yeah, give it to her. You've had your fun.
It's my turn.
Hang on a sec.
So when did you meet Slash?
Slash. That was at that festival with Led Zeppelin. Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, Zurich, in Switzerland, with Elton John. So that was I got introduced to him because my keyboard player was from Gunners. Yeah. And
Was that Usual Illusion tour?
Yeah,
at the time?
he was playing keys and harmonica and stuff for Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 and on that tour. But no, 1994, I think Gunners were already over. Were they? Yeah, they were over by then. So Slash was doing Snake Pit. Snake Pit.
yes.
And it was epic. Epic
Did you
gig.
ever jam with
Nah, I
Slash?
didn't get to. I would have loved to, and he was just a really feel good character as well. I
Yeah.
met lots of peeps on that one. So it was Slash. I hung around with Ugly Kid Joe.
Yes.
He's a champion.
I love that.
Yeah.
What was it? They had
Everything I
Hate
hate
Everything
about
About
you,
You.
and
Yeah,
The
I had-
Neighbour, and
yeah.
Cats in the Cradle, and I saw them live recently actually.
Oh yeah.
A couple of years ago.
Good.
Epic.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
awesome.
just slamming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
And and Silverchair were there as well. It was kind of funny because they were playing.
Matt doesn't like
I
it.
don't not like
Yeah.
Silverchair. Don't
Not
put
a
me in
fan?
this situation. No, not really. I grew up in New Zealand. I saw them at the big day out in New Zealand, and I think they were before my favourite band, which was a Kiwi band called Head Like a Hole. So I just wanted them to go away.
What
But
year was that?
that would have been 92 or 93.
Oh yeah, so that was that was Frog Stomp just as
Yeah,
they
it was
came
Frog
out.
Stomp.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
must admit, they were actually quite good live.
Oh,
I'm like,
man,
these kids are pretty
I love
good.
that
It's a
album.
weird thing. Like I feel like Silverchair got so much shit. Like it was just for me. It was typical Australia.
Yeah.
Sometimes
We
It's
can't
like,
support people, can we? Sometimes.
fuck, him getting piss thrown at him when they
Was
were.
he?
Yeah, he got piss
that's
thrown at him.
shit.
And Silverchair were playing before Rage Against the Machine at Big Day Out, I think it was, but
Yeah.
Rage Against the Machine, and just because they weren't playing fucking all their early stuff, and they were
Yeah.
just had expanded and evolved a bit more, and they were just getting shit. I mean, I'm generalizing here, but
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
not necessarily the greatest at supporting those who are up the top.
No.
Airborne are
it's
another
weird.
example. You know that band
Yeah, I
Airborne.
know
Yeah.
Airborne, yeah.
They're fucking huge in Europe. And they come here and not so much, just because people just can't get beyond the fact that they are obviously and heavily influenced by AC/DC. Who gives a shit?
Yeah,
that's
It's
right.
fucking good.
Everyone's got influences, don't they?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
I like anyone up there now, man. Like, as I said, I'm going to see any motherfucker.
Yeah.
If there's a ticket, I'm going. Which gets us back to the Heritage Hotel
Yes.
on Sunday.
Yeah.
Come along to
Sunday.
the show.
Yeah, we'll be there.
We're definitely going to be there. In fact, do you want we could film it for you if you want.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, we might do that.
I've got to work out what the our biggest problem when we're trying to film stuff for Twitch is actually just network service.
Oh yeah.
So I wonder what it's
Yeah,
like
I'm not
there.
sure the Heritage would have.
The best Telstra service. We're on Telstra.
Yeah.
One request though, you have to sign Willie's tits up.
They're pretty big.
I've learned not to objectify a man.
I haven't got any business cards on me.
It's business time.
Yeah.
Well, man.
man, that's
That's
sick.
been a blast.
Yeah,
We appreciate you
letting us in
coming
here.
on here.
Yeah, absolutely. This was awesome, and I love how last minute it was as well. I mean,
It's the best way to do things, though, isn't
reached
it?
out,
Yeah.
and I'm glad we got to do it on Twitch as well.
Yeah,
so
hi to all the
hopefully
Twitch
they
people.
are, and it's not
Yeah,
like one
thanks.
person just watching because they've gone, this is shit.
Yeah, hopefully.
So here we go. 92 was the first big day out, and Nirvana
Oh.
played there. Yeah,
Ooh,
right.
That
Ooh.
would have
Now
been
there
a
was
good
a
one.
band that sign my boobs. It's funny they throw cyber underwear at me.
Is that a thing, is it?
Yeah,
You're
I
Tom
said
Jones.
to Amy, my wife was giving me shit the other day, and I said, sometimes I come home from tour and I get underwear thrown at me, and she's like, yeah, cyber underwear. Like, hey,
It still counts.
it still
And
counts.
it doesn't smell as bad.
All right, dude. That was
Yeah,
cool.
thanks for coming out here.
No,
I'm
thanks
glad
for
we could
No,
make it
it's a
work.
We
blast.
appreciate you.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
Cheers, mate. That was
Cheers,
great.
man.
See you, everyone.
See ya.
See you guys.
Later.